Hello and welcome back to my channel What If Deku 2.0. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today we're kicking off part 6 of our series, What If Deku Became the Villain Emperor? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is DekuVerse from Archive of Our Own. All the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now let's dive into the fanfic. Hold up, you idiots! An angry voice roared loudly from one of the exits, startling everyone with how angry it was. Everyone's head turned towards the exit the sound came from to see the one and only Katsuki Bakugo walking out of the exit completely fine, not a scratch on his, and his arm was somehow back in place. Who the hell said I was done, UFS? I ain't giving my place to someone who lost to me. I'm the one who's going to win this whole thing, damn it. Katsuki yelled in outrage and looked around him as if challenging someone to tell him otherwise. Bakugo seems to be alive and kicking, I guess, blinked Present Mike, looking over to Shoyuta, who merely shrugged. Then they both looked at Midnight. Midnight, did you get any notice from Recovery Girl that Bakugo was in a condition to fight? Midnight touched her earpiece, then looked at Present Mike and nodded her head. Yes. He was healed, but they took a bit too long speaking with him. Get Uraraka, half and half bastard. Who said you could take my place, huh? I beat you fair and square, so get the hell off and let me fight, cheeks, barked Katsuki as he stomped up the stairs. Midnight looked at the two boys and one girl in confusion, not sure what to do. On one hand, Katsuki was here and cleared to fight, also he was the rightful challenger in the finals. On the other hand, they got Shoto to walk all the way here and it wouldn't be nice to just tell him to go. Ochako looked at Katsuki with a small smile on her face and evident amusement. Shoto just stood there with a stoic face, unsure what to do either. In the teacher's private booth, Deku chuckled in amusement and cheeriness as he looked at his scene below him. You have very interesting students, Nedza-san. And very stubborn, if I say so myself. Those three have a tenacity you don't see every day, Deku complimented with smile. The teachers looked at him surprised, complimenting the students like they were old friends, while Nedza smiled. Indeed they are. Although Bakugo's interference made quite the change in plans. Endeavor isn't going to be pleased by this, and while they would always make up my day, we are still televising the event to the whole world. So we can't keep everyone waiting? Nedzu said, looking at Bakugo barking at Todoroki to leave the arena. I have a proposition to you, Nedza-san. To raise the ratings, satisfy your students and the audience in the same time, and amuse me while doing so, Deku said, looking at the mammal with a smirk. Nedzu tilted his head to the side in curiosity. I am all ears, Deku-san. What do you propose? Nedzu asked with a smile. Deku leaned and whispered into Nedzu's ear, and the mammal grinned widely before he cackled. Oh, excellent idea, Deku-san. This will definitely make everyone happy. Nedzu said, and the teachers looked at each other, unsure of what was going to happen. Well, nobody can say this year's sports festival for the first-year students isn't interesting, muttered Present Mike, then looked at his friend. Eraserhead, a little help here? Zizi, was the reply from the sleeping teacher on the ground, who was snuggled inside his yellow sleeping bag. Shoto stared for a second before shrugging his shoulders with smirk. Oh, now this will piss off Endeavor. Thank you, Bakugo. The ring is all yours, Bakugo. Give a good show. I'll be watching from above. Shoto said as he turned and started walking off to leave the large ring. Wait a damn minute. Endeavor yelled out in outrage, gaining everyone's attention. Shoto stopped walking too. How the hell is that brat back to new like he was fresh out of factory? He had a lost arm, for F's sake. This must be some type of cheating. Endeavor bellowed. My son was the one about to fight. You can't just tell him to leave. Katsuki turned to Endeavor and gave him the bird with growl of rage, his eyes narrowed at the number one idiot. Oh yeah? Well, F you. I am here now and you can't do a IT about it, you idiot. Your kid lost to me, deal with it. Pull your head out of Uraraka and be mature enough to throw away your bruised ego from not having things your way, you big man child. Katsuki shouted out in irritation, causing the audience to gape at the insults. Katsuki smiled at seeing Endeavor about to explode before grinning widely. Hey Endeavor. Can you tell me what do you have in common with SHIT? Katsuki called out. That caused a lot of people to stare at him in shock and disbelief. You are both called number 2. Katsuki bellowed with a loud cackle. There was silence for a second as everyone tried to register what Katsuki said, with everyone staring at the blonde in awe and disbelief. The silence in the room was deafening before Shoyuta, Deku, and Nezu started cackling in the same time loudly in amusement and joy from that roast. Mitsuki wasn't doing any better as she was losing her shit over that roast. That's my boy. Haha, please more. More. For F's sake more. Mitsuki wheezed slightly. Honey, please don't stress yourself. Masaru groaned miserably, but he was smiling in amusement from what was happening. You. Endeavor looked at Katsuki with his eyes bloodshot in rage. How dare you? You insolent rascal. Endeavor was losing his shit yelling death threats at Katsuki. Endeavor's PR handlers are going to have a field trip about he number 2 hero shouting death threats to a student on live TV? Deku mused with a sadistic smirk. Indeed. I will happily give young Bakugo extra credit for this. Nezu chirped as he sipped his tea. Meanwhile the blonde flipped him off once more and grinned cockily. I am fighting. I am winning. And there is nothing you idiot can do to stop me. So go sulk in some corner alone like the worthless bastard you are while I climb to the top. After all, if you didn't have the balls to chase after the top yourself, I have nothing to see in you except a coward. Katsuki declared before turning to Ochako. Endeavor just stared at the explosive brat with absolute outrage. He will ruin this kid, he will ruin him beyond repair. The brunette was staring at Katsuki with disbelief and a tiny bit of admiration. He seriously had the balls to humiliate and insult Endeavor on live television. Dabi must be losing his shit over this. Let's go, cheeks. I want to have the best battle to ever happen in this day. One that would be remembered when we are pros. One that would showed in every festival to come as standard battle for the audience. One that we would remember after we graduate and hit the 10. Katsuki declared with his hands smoking. He leaned forward and grinned widely at his opponent. Ochako grinned savagely as pink lightning exploded out of her body. Her eyes zoomed on her blonde opponent. As you say, Katsuki-kun? Ochako said, cracking her knuckles menacingly. Wait a second. Midnight announced, causing He2 to pause and almost stumble on their steps. The R-rated heroine put her finger on her earpiece to listen before her face took a look of surprise. Really? Are you sure? All right, works for me. Midnight looked at Todoroki, who just descended the stairs of the ring before calling his name. Todoroki, wait. The principal decided to have it a 3-way battle royal between you and these two. Shoto stopped and almost stumbled in surprise at that as he looked at Midnight in shock on his face. What is that? A change in plans that we didn't expect. Todoroki is going to get the chance to fight both Uraraka and Bakugo for first place. Mike shouted. In surprise before looking at Shoyuta. What do you think of this, Shoyuta? Zzz. Was the only reply from the sleeping man, causing present Mike to sweat drop in response. That also got quite a few people to start murmuring in surprise. All obviously excited for the idea of seeing 3 powerhouses duking it out for third place. Uraraka versus Bakugo versus Todoroki in one match. That would be sick. Oh man, I wish I could a recording of the fight to take home. It would be glorious. This should be great. Those 3 are strong. If they fought in the same time, it would be an insane match. This gonna be so exciting. Endeavor looked surprised for a second before smirking to himself. Now his masterpiece got the chance to fight them both, and with both his ice and fire he was almost guaranteed to win. Shoto stared at the crowd cheering his and the 2 others' names before looking at them to see their reaction. Katsuki was giving his lost arrogant smirk yet, and he was obviously challenging him to fight them. Shoto was happy Katsuki still saw him as a challenge. Uraraka was smiling encouragingly and in motion for him to join them in the ring. She looked surprised but not overly so. In fact, she looked as excited as Katsuki was for this event. Todoroki smirked and nodded at the 2's challenge before he turned back and walked into the ring. The boy went into a corner of the arena facing the 2 of them. Well, I guess I get that second chance after all, Bakugo, Shoto said with a smirk. Ochako and Katsuki were surprised. Did he just tease him? Great. He was getting out of I live to spite Endeavor and nothing more shall. Now to get him to have fun. Hey Eraserhead, wake up. The third is starting. You can't sleep through that, can you? Judges must be unbiased. Present Mike scolded. There was a sound that was a mixture between a growl and groan before Eraserhead woke up, glaring at Present Mike. This better be worth my time? The 3 competitors looked at each other with matching glares of steel-like determination as they waited for the start of the match. Alright then. Let me do the proper introduction for the 3 competitors now. On one corner we have the girl who showed that being pretty doesn't mean being fragile. This is the girl who could send you to outer space if you look down on her. This is the girl that showed us skill, that showed us elegance and displayed unrivaled strength and tenacity in all the rounds. From the hero course, Ochako Uraraka. Mike declared loudly and the audience cheered. Ochako smiled bubbly at the audience as she started blowing kisses to everyone, causing them to cheer louder. In the second corner, we have the Mad Bomber who blasted every single obstacle in the first round like it was nothing and destroyed the zero-pointer instantly. The one who got second place in the cavalry battle after smoking everyone else. And the one who made a visit to hell and back after his match with Endeavor's son and still came back. The king of explosions from the hero course, Katsuki Bakugo. Present Mike yelled, causing the audience to burst into cheers. Katsuki smirked to himself as he raised his fist in the air like All Might and created a small explosion that made the audience cheer more for him. And finally, we have the Ice Prince who's so cold it burns. The boy who literally froze everyone in his path and place, the boy who moved through every single obstacle with a very cool attitude. The one who created glaciers of ice with a single stomp and lighted flames powerful enough to cause explosions. From the hero course, Shoto Todoroki. Mike introduced and the crowd started cheering to Shoto, who waved politely to the audience. Alright, is everyone ready for this one last rodeo dance? Midnight asked with a smirk as everyone nodded their heads. Alright then. 3. Present Mike counted. Pink lightning exploded out Ochako's body as she leaned forward ready to attack. 2. Shouted the audience in excitement. Shoto's right side developed some frost on the skin while his left side started smoking. 1. Deku grinned in anticipation for the battle to come, his eyes focused on the trio, mostly Ochako. And start. Mike declared in excitement, announcing the start of the last and most epic battle for the day. Shoto immediately began the fight by stomping his right foot on the ground, creating a huge glacier of ice that started off as one then split in the middle, going for both opponents in the same time. Ochako, expecting Shoto to start with a huge scale attack, immediately touched her fist with the fingers of her open palm as she leapt into the air. She could feel the glacier forming beneath her feet as she rose up and up. She released her quirk and dropped onto the top of the glacier once the ice settled into a solid mass. Of course, the top of the mass of ice wasn't exactly made to be a platform for a person. She slipped and nearly plummeted, but managed to get her bearings. As she gripped the iceberg, she came up with an idea. It was crazy. It was probably a terrible idea. But it should work. Screw it. Plus ultra. Ochako thought with a vicious grin as she focused her zero-gravity quirk on the ice glacier. The entire ice glacier. The mass of ice cracked and split as she removed most of the gravity from the ice, enough that the force of the Earth's rotation tore it from the ground. Ochako grinned as she smashed her fingers through the ice, getting a good grip on the. She jumped high in the air and raised her iceberg bat above her head before grinning at Shoto maliciously, her eyes glinted with sadism. Shoto just gaped as he saw what Ochako was doing. That girl was crazy. She was in the air with that bat he gave her, about to smash him down with it. Was she trying to kill him? Sweet dreams, Shoto-kun. Ochako shouted as she brought down her improvised weapon. The glacier smashed into the arena on the command of its mistress, causing it to burst into millions of small pieces. Cementos quickly created a wall around the stadium to prevent the ice and debris from hitting the audience. Eraserhead, what the hell are you teaching these kids? Present Mike shouted with his eyes almost bursting from his sockets. You think I'm capable of teaching someone how to do that? Shoyuta asked rhetorically, motioning to the destruction that happened. I don't know whether that's a wholly unearned compliment or if you haven't been paying attention to anything I've done since we were in high school. Ochako stayed floating in midair amongst the dust and chips of ice still in the air, covering her mouth with her jacket to prevent herself from inhaling something she shouldn't. Cementos lowered the walls of cement he'd created, letting everyone see what happened to the opponents. Todoroki was safely standing in his place with his left side blazing with hot flames that was illuminating the arena and causing the ice around to vaporize. Holy! Todoroki used his fire to melt the about to slam onto him. That guy surely is hard to crush. Mike yelled. Really? That's the best pun you got? Shoyuta asked rhetorically. The two stared each other down before they both heard a shout of "die" and the sound of familiar explosions. Shit, they completely forgot about Katsuki. A great mistake, really. They are mature enough to admit it. Katsuki easily saw the attack Shoto was about to unleash a mile away, so when the glacier closed in on him, he used his quirk to propel himself in the air. But what got him alarmed was that Cheeks decided to use her quirk -0 gravity on the glacier, the whole glacier, and picked it up like a baseball bat of the sorts. Katsuki decided to use their distracted state and blasted himself far higher, and boy what a wise decision that was. That crazy beach smashed her iceberg bat. He never thought he would use the two word together in his life on the Canadian flag, causing a cloud of frost and ice pieces. He started shooting himself down as he saw the two charge at each other. Did they forget about him? Did you forget about me, cheeks and Canadian flag? Don't look down on me. Katsuki shouted as he cleared the 100 meters in a second using a compressed explosion. He shot at the two surprised opponents at high speed as he aimed his palm forward, a spark traveling through his arm into his palm. Die. Katsuki roared as he unleashed a point-blank explosion on the spot between the two other competitors. Ochako decreased her gravity before she leapt backwards. The shockwave from the explosion sent her flying backwards that she had to increase her gravity to not fly out of bounds. Shoto blasted himself backwards with his flames, and once he was near the boundary line he created an ice wall. And Bakugo reminds everyone why he is a living bomb by creating an explosion so strong that it sent both his opponents almost out of bounds. Present Mike yelled in amazement. Katsuki was standing in the middle of the ring inside a crater that came from his powerful explosion. Smoke was blowing around him as he looked around him. Katsuki looked around him to see what both his opponents weren't out of the game yet, which made him grin in anticipation. Ochako decided to kick up a nod. Her power limit without drawbacks was 8%, so that's what she will use. Shooting star. Ochako declared as she leapt at Katsuki at incredible speeds, intent on touching him with her hands. Katsuki gave a surprised look before he jumped back and threw his palm forward, creating a menacing shockwave that sent Ochako flying, but she regained her footing and shot at him. You ain't bad, cheeks, but I won't lose like last time. Katsuki declared as he dodged a high kick to the side of his head and countered with a blast. Ochako jumped over him and landed behind him, ready to punch him in the face just for both of them to be covered in ice, courtesy of Shoto, who used the chance to get a hit in. And Todoroki's gone for a huge scale attack that froze his opponents in their tracks. Present Mike exclaimed. Shoyuta just groaned at the bad joke before focusing on the fight. There was few seconds of silence where the audience wondered if the two were out cold, but then there was cracking in the ice. The glacier started cracking further and further until it exploded with pink lightning and smoke glowing with sparks of orange as Katsuki and Ochako burst out of the ice in different directions. The three opponents stared each other down for a second before Katsuki grinned. Hey idiots. How about we end this with a bang? I don't know about you, but it has been a very long day, and my quirk is running out. Katsuki called out. What is this? Bakugo is admitting he is running out fumes. Present Mike yelled in shock. Ochako just gave a thumbs up with her face going green. Yeah, I'm on the verge of vomiting and my super strength is running out. I have power left for one attack only. Ochako admitted. Same, believe it or not. Changing the degree of your body from hot to cold is tiresome, and I am dizzy. Let's finish this with one attack. Shoto yelled the last, grinning widely. Shoto suddenly stomped the ground with his right foot, ice quickly forming all around him, chilling the air as it did so, but the flames on his left protected him from freezing himself. Another barrage of ice, this one far stronger than his previous attempts, was launched towards Katsuki and Ochako. Katsuki let off a huge explosion to dodge it before releasing another one to fire himself high in the air. Ochako negated her gravity before jumping into the same height as Katsuki. Katsuki grinned as he used a powerful explosion to shoot himself to the far left while spinning. Then he shot another explosion to send him to the right, spinning faster. The boy soon became a spinning blur as started shooting himself left and right while spinning madly, creating a tornado sparks and smoke around him. Ochako on the other hand crouched in midair before kicking the air behind her with both legs, creating a massive shockwave that launched her forward. Katsuki and Ochako getting closer to the dual-quirked user at insane speeds, and even though no one could see it, there was grinning in excitement. An expression Shoto matched with his own grin of excitement. Shoto activated his flames once more, melting the ice pillars that he had created behind him. Katsuki was now a bullet sailing towards his opponent while yelling out profanities. Ochako was a blue blur that was sailing towards her opponent with victory in her mind and nothing else. Shoto slowly raised his left hand towards his opponent's, ready to fire his next and last attack for this day. Howitzer impact, howled Katsuki as he extended his right hand forward, creating the biggest explosion yet in front of him. One that would be mistaken from a large rocket exploding to destroy a city. Solar smash. Ochako cried out, transferring all of her power into her right arm, then after doing so through a right hook. The punch was so powerful it created a very powerful shockwave that exploded into a whirlwind of air and lightning. Explosive expanding. Shoto held his left palm forward and shot out a stream of wild flames right towards Katsuki and Ochako in reply for their attacks. heating the cold air, forcing it to rapidly expand. The three attacks collided right at the center of the arena, causing a huge explosion caused a powerful shockwave that pushed everyone far away. Gusts of wind swept throughout the whole stadium, forcing many of the audience members to grab onto seats to prevent themselves from being blown away. Hell yeah! Awaze yelled as he used his quirk to fuse himself to the chair. Ayahawk! Mineta screeched as he flew away, or would have if it weren't for Shoji grabbing him, saving him from flying only God knows where. Those people are insane. Sen yelled, grabbing onto his chair with his full might. Sumainli yai. Ijuru yelled as he was being pushed back by his shockwaves. Eek. Mina was clinging into Ijuru like a lifeline as he held into his chair. She didn't notice the redhead blushing furiously as she wrapped her arms around his neck. Fumikage wasn't doing any better than the redhead as Tsuyu was clinging onto him while Dark Shadow held them both steady. Present Mike had fallen backward on his seat, his feet in the air, and spoke. What in the name of everything holy and unholy? What the hell is it with your class, Eraserhead? Why do you have so many monsters as first years? Why do you think I call them problem children and hellions? Because I can come up with endearing nicknames if I want it? Shoyuta rolled his eyes. Ugh, I can't see a thing? Just who won the match? Complained Present Mike with groan. Midnight slowly picked herself up from the rubble, her mask having fallen off her face due to the shockwave. She narrowed her eyes, trying to see past all the dust that was slowly clearing up. In the ground, right before the boundary line in one of the corners, was Shoto. On the ground and unconscious. He was obviously knocked out of the fight. But what confused everyone was that there was no Katsuki or Ochako in sight since they were hidden by the remaining smoke. First to be seen was Ochako, who was heavily panting as she stood at the edge of the boundary line, nearly falling over. Her shirt was completely burnt off due to the heat, her body littered with scratches and bruises. On the other end of the stage stood Katsuki, his hair shadowing over his eyes as he also stood right before the boundary line. Slowly but surely, Katsuki began to fall forward towards the ground. Gasps could be heard around the stage as Katsuki was keeling forward. Most were thinking that the match was over, including Midnight, Mike and Ochako and many others. Even Ochako began to relax, thinking it was over. Only a few thought otherwise, being Mitsuki, Masaru and Ijuru. Come on brat, don't keel over now, shouted Mitsuki. You can do it son, voiced Masaru. Ijuru was staring at the fight, seeing Katsuki teetering back and forth before falling forward. As he began to fall, Ijuru could only shout one word to his friend. Bakubro? Midnight, thinking it was over, almost began to make the announcement, Fighter Bakugo is dashed. Suddenly, Katsuki's hands, which had been facing behind him, exploded. Two large explosions almost as big as the one he had made against the zero-pointer hurled Katsuki forward headfirst right towards Ochako. Ochako's eyes widened as she tried to move out of the way, but with the speed Katsuki was going and her torn muscles from going past her limit, it was too late. Don't count me out, you beach, shouted Katsuki as he headbutted Ochako in the stomach. Spit could be seen coming out of Ochako's mouth as Katsuki's head struck her in the stomach. She was sent tumbling backward for a bit before falling to the ground. She blinked before seeing Katsuki flat on his face. She could see burns all over Katsuki's body, most of them first-degree burns though a few were second-degree. Katsuki wasn't even moving after his last attack, laying flat on his face. But what was horrible to her was that the idiot was using her chest as a pillow. And as darkness took her, she couldn't even push him off. Suddenly, Midnight made an announcement that shocked the audience. Fighter Uraraka is out of bounds. Winner is Bakugo, who advances onto the finals. Katsuki, much to everyone's shock, pulled the win. And it was all due to Katsuki's stubbornness for victory. A clap broke out from somewhere in the audience, which was followed by a multitude of clap until the whole stadium broke out in applause and cheer. Holy shit, that was unexpected. That was epic. Those guys are really something. Needless to say, many had their eyes on Katsuki while he was being carried on a stretcher to the infirmary by paramedic bots. Shoto and Ochako were given as much credit for their amazing fight too. What the audience didn't know was that Katsuki, Ochako and Shoto got the fear of God placed into them, and had their shins broken before they were cleared for the award ceremony. All the first-year students were soon standing out in the field once more for the ending ceremony, while reporters were rapidly taking photos. All of the first-year events for this year's UA Sports Festival has been completed. And now we will begin with the award ceremony, announced Midnight. The audience began to cheer and applaud as fireworks were sent up into the air. Behind Midnight, smoke erupted from the ground as podiums began to rise up. Going from right to left, standing in third place stood Denki and Shoto sharing the podium. While Shoto was dully staring ahead, Denki was waving towards the crowd with a big smile. In second place stood Ochako Uraraka, looking at the crowd with a smile on her face. In the first place podium stood Katsuki Bakugo crossing his arms and grinning like Christmas came early or something. Not that anyone blamed him. But what they blamed him for was the fact that he was shouting curse words at those who thought he couldn't do it, mainly focusing on cussing the number 2 hero who was much to everyone's amusement and slight worry a living supernova right now. Yes. Yes. FY is. F you. You thought I couldn't do it? Especially you Endeavor. Go sulk in some corner for that I am number 1. Go freeze in hell with all the idiots you killed you prick. Nobody likes you. Katsuki was yelling without shame while Shoto and Ochako looked at him with admiration. Oh geez, never seen him this happy before. Sweat dropped Ijiru with a nervous smile. He's like monkey high on caffeine? Commented Fumikage with a nervous expression. He is cussing Endeavor on live TV and for the past 10 minutes? Sato said with sweat drop. Haha, oh this one is for the record books, look at Endeavor, cackled Mitsuki while kicking her legs up. Mitsuki, come on, it's not that funny? Sighed Masaru, though his lips were slightly curling up. Ochako looked around at the contestants looking away from the victory high blonde, her eyes lighting up when he found Momo, Kyoka, and Toru waving at her. Yet somehow, Tenya was still missing from the crowd for some reason. I hope he's alright, thought Ochako to herself. Tenya had just suddenly left without telling her anything and that was worrisome. The only reason she even knew was that Ijiru told her that he had left. Her mind snapped back to the present when Midnight began to make an announcement. Now we will award the medals. The presentation of the medals, of course, will be presented by this man Dash. Ha ha ha. A familiar booming laughter rang throughout the stadium, one that everyone was familiar with. They all quickly looked around before seeing a shadow of All Might standing on top of the stadium, the sunlight slowly illuminating his figure. Then with a quick dash, All Might jumped off the stadium, flipping in the air while the crowd cheered before executing a perfect landing right in front of the podium. I have brought the medals here. Our very own hero, All Might. Silence ensued for a second as the two finished their statements, Midnight's voice overlapping and overpowering All Might's declaration due to the fact she was speaking into a microphone. Sorry I talked over you? Apologized Midnight in embarrassment as she clasped her hands together. The audience quickly began to discuss how lucky the first-year students were for having the number 1 hero watching over them. Now then, All Might, please present the medals starting with the 3rd place, said Midnight quickly. All Might nodded as he passed over the medals case to Midnight for her to hold while he presented the medals first to Denki. Young Denki, congratulations. You certainly have a lot of power with your quirk. However, in order to fight well against different types, especially ones that you seem weak to, you'll have to strengthen not only your quirk but your body and spirit. Try to think of different ways you can use your quirk, advised All Might while putting the bronze medal over Denki's head and around his neck before giving him a gentle hug. Thanks, sir. I certainly will, grinned Denki, but man, being 3rd place? Never thought I'd get to here. Think my chances with girls are better now? All Might ignored that awkward question and turned to Shoto, presenting the 2nd bronze medal. Young Todoroki, congratulations. I assume there was a reason why you never used your left side until now against young Bakugo? Shoto nodded with a smile. There was a part of me that I despised until now. Now I realize it's a part of me. Bakugo's speech was a bit forced, like it wasn't his thing, but Bakugo did it to prove himself, while I'm sure Uraraka would have done it to aid me. I'm beginning to understand a little about why you're interested in her. I want to become a hero like you, so I promise you here that I would give it my all from now on and never hold back. All Might nodded in approval. The look on your face is completely different from before. He then bent down to give Shoto a gentle hug, whispering to his ear, I won't ask about the details, but I'm sure you'll be able to do what you need to do. If you need help, you know where to find me. Yes, thank you, nodded Shoto as All Might stood back up once more, walking over to the smiling Ochako. Young Uraraka. Congratulations for 2nd place, young lady. You have made an amazing display today and should be proud. I must admit that I'm very surprised with your unexpected quirk awakening, but congratulations are in order for that too. You have made a shocking feat of control and smart usage for it too with your main abilities. And for that you have gained 2nd place and almost 1st. All Might congratulated with a wide smile as he gave Ochako the silver medal and a gentle hug. After he let go, Ochako smiled warmly. Thank you, sensei. But I'll need a lot of practice to fully master my power, but hopefully I can become something great with it in the future. Ochako said happily. All Might went and whispered into Ochako's ear. Your will, your dedication, and your ability to inspire. The fact that you still remain so humble. I have no doubt that you will become a great heroine after. And with your strength, kindness, and intelligence, you will inspire others to become great heroes like you. So stand tall, young Uraraka. Ochako looked away, feeling a quick stab of guilt, realizing how fake she was, how she was tricking good people into thinking she was someone else, but she schooled her features before smiling back at All Might. Thank you, sir. I will do my best. Ochako said happily, and the hero nodded his head before turning to Katsuki. Now then, young Bakugo. You actually did what you said you would do in your player pledge. You knew you could have defeated young Todoroki if you didn't provoke him to use his fire, but you not only aided him, but proved that you could defeat him still. Not only that, but I couldn't help but admire your stubbornness to prove yourself. That tenacity will take you far, my boy. All Might looked down and sweat dropped when he saw Katsuki's wide grin that was so feral it made him uncomfortable. I told you I will win. In that Fleming idiot's face who kept dismissing me like some busted D-lister or something. I might be a jackass, but at least I'm working on it. He, on the other hand. He embraced the image of a bastard, so I don't need him of all people telling me my place. I fought the best in their best and still won. Katsuki said with a vicious grin. In this world where people are constantly being compared publicly, there are not many who can keep aiming for the top with an unchanging scale and morals. The fact you aim for that without losing any of your passion is commendable. Keep that up and perhaps tone down the anger and maybe the die too, and you'll be one of the top heroes for sure. Now then, accept this medal as a memorabilia for today. All Might put the medal around his proud blonde. Ochako and Denki applauded him slightly, and so did Shoto, the three of them smiling. I am proud of what you did with young Todoroki, my boy. You are shaping up into great hero, my boy, whispered All Might as he gave Katsuki a small hug. Katsuki stopped grinning at those words and let his idol hug him. The boy leaned into it too for a bit. Ochako looked at her medal as she held it before turning towards Katsuki, who was back to grinning after All Might put him down. Katsuki-kun, stated Ochako, causing Katsuki to turn his head towards him. I may have lost, but that's only the beginning. So you better hold on to this medal for now, but sometime later we'll duke it out once more to see who truly deserves this medal. You too, Shoto-kun. I know it took a lot of effort to use your fire, especially with all those declarations you made against me. I look forward to fighting to see who will come out on top. Katsuki couldn't help but give a malicious grin at the challenge after All Might ended the hug, and looked at Ochako with bloodlust in his eyes. It's a deal, cheeks. I will hold on to this medal with death grip. So you better prepare for me to kick you, Rasto, keep it as mine. Shoto couldn't help but smirk in amusement at this statement, and nodded his head accepting the challenge. Ochako smiled as All Might grinned at the three of them. All Might quickly turned back to the contestants to address them all. Well, they were the winners this time. But listen up, anyone here could have ended up in these podiums. It's just as you saw, competing, improving each other, and climbing even further. The next generation of heroes is definitely sprouting. I just have one more thing to say. Everyone please say it with me. Ready, go dash. Everyone took a deep breath, excited to yell out the phrase that was U.A's school motto. Plus ultra. Everyone shouted simultaneously. Thank you for your hard work. There was an awkward moment of silence before the audience began to boo at All Might for saying the wrong phrase, though all done teasingly. All Might himself stammered out words to defend himself, but it was already done. Soon the students began to walk back to their respective classrooms. Good work. Yawned Shoyuta as the sun was slowly setting on the horizon. It was time to go home. There will be no school tomorrow or the day after. Each one of them was back into their school uniforms, waiting to be dismissed. Each one of them was tired, some more than others. All of them were excited for what was to happen after, though. Shoyuta himself was eager for some rest, but he trudged forward. He had a job to do after all. I'm sure the pro heroes who watched the sports festival will want to recruit you, but we'll consolidate everything and announce it when you get back. So rest well and look forward to that. They all nodded as one as Shoyuta dismissed them. Well, almost all of them. Ochako and Momo looked over to where Tenya would sit, only to find it empty. Just where is he? Thought Ochako as she picked up her backpack. Soon she was walking with Toru, Kyoka, and Momo out of class, discussing what the internship process would be like. What happened to Ida? Asked Ochako as they walked together out of the classroom. Momo and Toru shared a glance, knowing just where Tenya was and what had happened. Flashback. "Ha, you're leaving?" asked Momo in surprise. "But weren't you excited for this?" exclaimed Toru in shock. "I'm sorry, I must leave," said Tenya. "My brother was attacked by a villain. He is in a critical condition." "Your brother Ingenium?" gasped Momo. "Is he all right?" asked Toru worriedly. "I don't know the details, so I'm going to visit him in the hospital now. I came to find you, Yaoyorozu, since you're the class vice president, to inform you I will be leaving early. I've already notified Aizawa-sensei that I'm leaving." Momo nodded in understanding. "I understand. I'll let Ochako know right out dash." "Don't," interrupted Tenya, shocking both Momo and Toru for a second. "Uraraka is still in the tournament. She needs to focus on doing her very best, and telling her now would just be a distraction. I would never forgive myself if she lost while thinking about my situation. Even if she did lose, she wouldn't blame it on anyone but herself. That's the type of person she is." "All right, but afterward I will tell her," agreed Momo. "She's your friend, and she deserves to know the situation from us than some news outlet that will blow out of proportion." Tenya sighed before nodding. "Fine, but not a minute before. Now I must go." Flashback ends. "Oh shit," said Kyoka in worry. "I hope his brother is okay. I do actually like Ingenium." "Ida?" mumbled Ochako, fishing out her phone. She quickly texted Tenya, hoping that he was all right and that his brother was all right. The four of them started walking out of the school in silence as their thoughts wandered back to Tenya in worry. It was then that someone called out to them, causing them to stop. "Hey girls. Over here." Mina called out to them. They turned back and saw that Mina, Denki, Aijuru and Hanta were walking to them, with Aijuru dragging Katsuki, who had an arm slung over his shoulder. "Oh, hey guy. What are you doing here now? Shouldn't you be going to your homes now that school was over?" Ochako asked in confusion, but she was smiling. Denki just chuckled. "Oh, we are here to invite you ladies. We are going to celebrate as a whole class together our performance in the festival, and even Todoroki is coming. Some guys from 1B are even joining in." Denki grinned, surprising the girls. "Well, I guess that could work. We don't really have anything else to do right now," Toru said, looking at the other girls, who shrugged. "Oh come on girls. We even got Bakubro over here to join us," Aijuru said, motioning to the scowling Katsuki with a smile as the blonde rolled his eyes. Although the girls could see that it was fake and that he was genuinely smiling inside. "And boy, what a fight that was," Hanta joked, causing Katsuki to growl in anger. Ochako just smiled. "All right. Let's go. This should be fun, and after how hard we worked in the festival it would be a nice treat." Ochako agreed. "Oh. Let me be the one paying. You all did great and I would like to treat you all for encouragement," Momo said with smile. "You don't have to that, Yamamo, it's fine," Mina said, waving her hands, but the Raven just beamed, pulling out a credit card. "Oh, don't worry about Ishido, it wouldn't even be some change," Momo said innocently. "Did she just slap us with how rich she is? And with such a kind face we can't even be mad," thought everyone with a sweat drop. And with that everyone went to celebrate. As Deku picked up his tired unicorn from Recovery Girl's office, his daughter was more mentally exhausted from people's stupidity than physically. He was about warp back into the base to join everyone in preparing to celebrate the girls' performance in the sports festival. But then his phone vibrated. A notification message appeared since he was connected to the Hero News for anything interesting. He looked at his phone and almost dropped it in shock. The headline for tonight was "Hero Killer Stain Kills the Pro Hero Ingenium," with capital letters. As Deku picked up his tired unicorn from Recovery Girl's office, the old lady smiled at his daughter before she frowned at him with a look of complicated emotions. Apathy could detect anger, sadness, disgust and pity in the same time. She was one of the people in the room when Naomasa told them who he was and his backstory. She probably felt horrible that the world pushed an innocent person to villainy, and very young too, but was still mad at the things he does. She was a kind woman but still a heroine in the end. "People are stupid, Papa. Why do they keep getting hurt over and over?" Eri asked in both annoyance and confusion. He was about warp back into the base to join everyone in preparing to celebrate the girls' performance in the sports festival. But then his phone vibrated. A notification message appeared since he was connected to the Hero News for anything interesting. He looked at his phone and almost dropped it in shock. The headline for tonight was "Hero Killer Stain Kills the Pro Hero Ingenium," with capital letters. What the F, Kaizome? It isn't like him. Ingenium was a good hero, but not skilled in combat enough to force Stain to use lethal means in self-defense. Stain could have just paralyzed him for a moment and disappeared. What could have happened in that alleyway? Deku quickly snapped his fingers and used Mud Warp to quickly teleport to League of Villains hideout to find everyone else in the living room chatting and doing their own thing, with Dabi in he corner watching a recording of Katsuki cussing Endeavor at the top of his lungs. Why isn't he surprised? But Hat wasn't what he was here to talk about. From her looks of it, nobody knew about the whole Ingenium fiasco and Stain was nowhere in sight. Everyone noticed him and perked up slightly. Shinso was the first one to greet him while looking at the sleeping Eri with amusement. "Yo boss, had fun watching the festival from VIP seats?" Shinso asked before grinning. "Looks like the resident unicorn is all tuckered out too," he added. Deku nodded his head. "Yes, a good day so far Shinso. Eri-chan had fun in the festival, but unfortunately healing the same idiots many times could be both exhausting physically and mentally. That caused everyone to wince. Must have been a nightmare to the gentle unicorn to see a blonde idiot littered with burns and missing an arm like that. Not to mention that she had to heal Ochako few times after breaking her bones from overusing her quirks. Yeah, makes sense. Even if she is super good at her job, she is still a little girl. Seeing people getting hurt like that isn't technically nice for her." Gentle agreed while sipping some tea. Kurogiri came while looking at Eri with a hidden smile. "Alright, let me put you little unicorn in bed. She worked hard today. And I bet she was happy to live her dream of saving people with her quirk." Kurogiri extended his arms and Deku handed him the precious little girl with smile. "Thanks Kurogiri, you are a life savior." Deku chuckled as Kurogiri took Eri away to her room. After Kurogiri left, Deku sighed in exhaustion and looked around carefully. That got everyone's attention. "Boss, are you looking for something? Now you just like looking around?" Twice said with confusion. "Where is Stain? Because I don't see him here." Deku asked carefully and everyone shrugged. "Want to do Stain shit? You know, stabbing idiots in alleyways to death but not before monologuing about how much of idiots they are. The usual crap." Dabi said, taking a second to catch his breath after laughing so much. Deku sighed at that and pinched the bridge of his nose. Then looked at everyone with annoyance. That got everyone nervous. "Sorry if I am being too interrogating, but who was he targeting?" Deku asked, sitting beside Tamura, who side-eyed him. "Alright little brother, you are freaking me out. What the F is this about?" Tamura asked, pausing his game and looking at his brother. Deku had a "I'm so done with this shit" expression, so it's serious. This is about the media exploding with news about Stain killing freaking Ingenium of all people. Deku said, slapping his forehead. That got multiple people to gasp. Nagant stood up with a surprised look. "Okay, time out. Stain likes Ingenium, no way in hell he would attack the guy unless it's self-defense. And Ingenium isn't strong enough to make Stain resort to lethal force. This must be a setup. You know how the media likes to blow up hot air, right?" Nagant said, and Deku sighed and nodded. "I know Kana Kaizome does acknowledge Ingenium as a real hero. And with what you already said, a setup is the only thing I can think of, but where's he now? He should have called by now since it's almost nightfall." Deku was interrupted quickly as the phones buzzed and everyone grabbed their phones and sighed in relief. Villainous chat room. "Purge the fakes. Kurogiri, I kinda need a pick-me-up if you don't mind. Coffee or death, he speaks. Gecko Man, he speaks. World's a stage, he speaks. Deadpool, holy shit, he speaks. Purge the fakes, what? F school, we always thought you don't know how to text. Purge the fakes. Purge the fakes. Do you want to die? Burn Beach, do you want to die? Because the U.A by now and all of the people allied with it wants you dead right now. Coffee or death. More like anyone who even liked you victim wants you dead. Purge the fakes. Huh? Game Master, do you have the slightest idea of the character you just got offline? You fed up a good chunk of our game with the U.A, you moron. Purge the fakes, what? Liverful at Purge the fakes. Nedzu is probably plotting to kill you in the worst ways to imagine. Purge the fakes. Purge the fakes. Ingenium? The boss, you did it? Coffee or death, you did it? Gecko Man, you did it? Purge the fakes. Hell no. I would rather die than kill a true hero. Game Master, then what the F? Purge the fakes. I killed another hero in Hosu and now they think I was the one to kill him too. Coffee or death, so they have no evidence you didn't do it and they threw the blame at you instantly. The boss. Sounds suspicious if you ask me. The media too quickly said it was you and they have no proof either. World's A stage, not quickly, instantly. 10 minutes after he was found, a reporter speculated it was you. Gecko Man, there are no news about the guy you killed first either. Game Master. Wait a minute, then if they don't even know you are there and killed someone before? Deadpool, that means? Purge the fakes. A setup? Live riffle, SHID. F school, of course it is. The Hero Commission hired someone to kill Ingenium, then went to put the blame on you to F with the League. F School. They are trying to make Nedzu and the U.A into our enemies and then jump at the winner's throat. The boss. Excellent job at F School, that's what I am suspecting right now. The boss. I am going with at Vampire Queen and at Mad Scientist right now to investigate it. The boss at Purge the Fakes. I will summon you, but first can you tell me if you noticed anything weird or suspicious? Purge the Fakes. I heard a gunshot from a sniper from the area where Ingenium was attacked. The boss? A sniper? That's strange, I thought they would go for someone who uses blades as your decoy? Liveriful, they know I and at Purge the Fakes work together, so they will pin it on me too. Burn Beach, idiots. Coffee or death. Yeah, we already know that, man, but which idiots? Game Master, so we are losing friendship points with the U.A because of that witch? Deadpool, or the Tyrant. World's a stage, or even Redestro or Maria. Burn Beach, yeah, we have shit ton of enemies to check from the list. The boss, this is a mess. Coffee or death, I hate this country. Gecko Man, Big Mood Man. World's a stage, this is a twist in our story that we weren't expecting, and our friendship with U.A is being tested. World's a stage, I wonder how the ending of this amazing saga would be like. Burn Beach. You know, man, I feel sometimes like you are writing the boss story in your free time when you are not plotting heists. Burn Beach, and willing to publish it somehow. Deadpool. Nah, he probably wants to make a play of it. At World's A Stage is a man of culture after all. World's A Stage, why thank my friend? Game Master? Or maybe a movie series. Now that would be something I would watch. Can you make a video game series while at it too? World's A Stage, oh with pleasure dear at Game Master. I could already see how many people would love to know the story of how one Quirkless became the world's greatest villain. The boss. We can discuss that and the details of the selling with that goddess later at World's A Stage, but please back to the catch who killed one of my favorite heroes business now. The boss. So can you tell me more at Purge the Fakes? Purge the Fakes. It might be just me, but I thought I saw too many vigilantes around Hosa, then here should be. The boss. Oh? How so? Purge the Fakes. I am 90% sure they were stalking me. Then again, I was one of them before, so they might be trying to tie up loose ends. The boss. Yeah, having a former member running around murdering heroes, even if they are idiots, is bad for their publicity and could get the government to start hunting them down. Liveriful. This is no better than the shit the commission pulls on daily basis. The boss. Not exactly at Liveriful, they are only doing this as extreme measures because well at Purge the Fakes is at Purge the Fakes, so they can't really tell him to stop. Purge the Fakes. Only death or incarnation will ever stop me from being at Purge the Fakes, and the latter until I inevitably escape. Game Master, and that's a one dedicated player there. Burn Beach. If Endeavor was half as committed to his goal like you, maybe he wouldn't have been the idiot he was today. The boss. Alright, I'ma give you a pickup, then going to investigate the crime scene with that Mad Scientist and at Vampire Queen to get some clues, but first I need to speak with Nedzu and make sure he dude wouldn't become a malevolent backstabber. The U.A War Council. Satan 2 at the Brain, we need to talk. The Brain? Oh, Mr. at Satan 2. It is very nice to see you here. Satan 2. Cut the please entries, I know you are livid. But it wasn't Stain. I spy, how would we know? Satan 2. Did any of you check how Ingenium was killed? Need nap. Actually Emmy just called me for that. Need nap, a sniper shot. A quick and precise one. Not matching Lady Nagant's bullets either. The Brain, a setup then. Satan 2. Yes, and I am livid. Super Punch. You are? Lie detector. Somehow I can tell you are saying the truth without my quirk. Satan 2. Oh, Detective Tsukachi. Pleasure meeting one of the people that I respect. A good detective and good at his job that he helped dismantling Sensei's empire. Lie detector. Why am I not surprised you know me? Satan 2. Well, you are good at uncovering mysteries, no one else does so. Yeah, plenty good at your job. I spy. You have any suspects for this assassination? Satan 2. Negative. I have too many enemies that happens to be your enemies too. The Brain, they are trying to make us come into blows then jump at the winner's throat. Need nap. My thought exactly, they somehow know that we are not very hostile to each other right now. Satan 2. Is that your way in saying we are friends? Super Punch. No. Satan 2. Satan 2. Anyways, back to business. Can you tell me why the Vigilante Alliance is stalking Stain in the past while? Knuckles Beach entered the group chat. Knuckles Beach. Because if people find out that he was once one of us before going renegade, then we will be in some very deep shit, and you know that. Satan 2. No one will ever know, you have my word for that. The Vigilante Alliance is too important in my future empire to let it be destroyed. Satan 2. So stop trying to kill my friends unless you want me to show my evil side and crusade over every single member in the alliance starting with Crawler. And Pop Step. Knuckles Beach, you think you can scare me, kid? You can't make me or my men break. Satan 2. Have I ever told you how I and Kotakuin killed Muscular together as our first father-son bonding experience? The Brain. Super Punch. I Spy. Need Nap. No, and I don't want to hear it either. Satan 2. We broke his bones many times over, we torn his limbs apart and put them back together with one of my quirks, and trust the process was very painful. Satan 2. Kotakuin made him choke on water for hours with no hint of getting bored of it and even laughed while doing so. Satan 2. I cut him and broke so many times for 3 days in a row without bothering to sleep or stop for food or water, since both me and my son had quirks for that. Satan 2. We broke him. We broke him so much that if you saw how he was crying you wouldn't believe he was the psychotic murder that feared nothing. Satan 2. Oh, he was ready to offer the two of us everything from his quirk, which I took, to his own eternal servitude to blowjobs just to make the pain stop. Satan 2. We've killed him only when he broke so much that he was begging me to kill him. He was so pathetic at that point that there was no fun in torturing him anymore. Satan 2. Point is Nedzu and Knuckle Duster. Satan 2. I will find out who did this. And I will put them through SOMUCH worse than that for killing such a good person like Tensei Ida. Satan 2. But if you dare target my men for something like cleaning up your shit? Satan 2. I will destroy mercilessly people you care about in ways you wouldn't stomach and then bless the internet with recordings of said acts. Satan 2. I wonder what Nijire Hadu from the third years and Tsuyu Azui from the first years would look like in the end of the video when I am done with them? Speaking hypothetically, of course. Satan 2. Have I made my point clear? The Brain, yes. Very clear, I assure you. Knuckles Beach. Fine, if he doesn't speak that he was Stendhal, then we won't try to kill him. Satan 2. Thank you. Sorry for venting, but I am in a bad mood from this. I Spy. You really are bothered by Ingenium's death? Satan 2. I never got to get his autograph at I Spy, and now the opportunity is gone forever. Satan 2. I will make what I did to Muscular pale in comparison to whoever orchestrated this mess. Need Nap. Any clues from your side? Satan 2. No. But I am going with Vampire and Shield Maiden to investigate the crime scene for said clues. The Brain. Please send us whatever new notifications you get, young man. Satan 2. I will. And sorry for losing my temper, I know those threats were too far. Super Punch. It's okay. Knuckles Beach. Yeah, it's cool. Satan 2. Alright, bye. Satan 2 left the group chat. Knuckles Beach. Holy shit. I Spy. Did you seriously antagonize him? Need Nap. What the hell were you thinking? Lie detector. Are you nuts? Knuckles Beach. Sorry, alright. F me, that kid scared me with just messages. Knuckles Beach. Somehow I could feel bloodlust in those texts. Need Nap. If one of my students get hurt like he described, I will murder at Knuckles Beach in the worst ways you could imagine. The Brain. If one of my students suffer such a fate, I will make sure it will be months before they find your body. Knuckles Beach. Fine. He is the villain and I am the one scolded. Lie detector. You are the one who brought up killing his follower. Super Punch. Did you expect him to stay cheerful? Knuckles Beach left the group chat. Dekukuin. Toga suddenly speaks as they walked into the crime scene. So who do you suspect to be the most likely to do this? Deku knew that he was going to regret the decision to let her join the search party. He did it regardless. It wasn't exactly favoritism. She had a point when she said that they could use someone skilled in disguise. I highly suspect Redestro because I doubt the commission, especially the president, will try something knowing it would piss me off. Especially that she knows that she is on borrowed time. Deku says with a sigh. Melissa is there too, wearing a hoodie. Then again, they all wear those. They were walking in the hero-patrolled area of house looking for the crime scene where Ingenium was assassinated. And Deku is, if he was being honest, thirsty for revenge. He liked Tensei Ida. The man was the definition of heroism and kindness. He had like 65 sidekicks. 12 of them discriminated complex mutants that were villains and rehabilitated with his help, for with villainous quirks he personally encouraged into being heroes, and 3 quirkless that faked their records and he still embraced them. So the Pinocchio? Melissa growled. I got us a couple devices to use in the investigation and should get us to who was the shooter. We find him? Melissa trailed off. We find who hired them. Toga whisper shouted, causing Deku to give her a small glare. She slapped her mouth and suited down. He felt bad for being mean, but Deku was in terrible mood. He will find out who orchestrated this and kill him in the most painful and degrading ways imaginable. along with Tamura-kun and Kurogiri. He could even invite his dad into the action too. He was retired but could still have fun every once in a while, no? It would be an amazing bonding experience. He could also ask his beloved successor and daughter to join if she was comfortable with the idea. Torture for information is an important skill for any crime lord or lady after all. And considering how creative she is, she could give them a new perspective. Kotokuin would join, no questions asked. He had a respect to Tensei Ida and he is probably livid now, probably because he watched the festival alongside the twins with his parents and Ms. Ray, so he didn't get the chance to see him, but if he had to guess, the boy was seething by now. Anyways, excellent job, now quit down because we don't need to be recognized, Deku said with a frown as they walked. They reached the alleyway and of course it's sealed with police tape with 2 cops guarding it. And they are both serious in their work. Shield Maiden? Deku whispered, no need to finish the command. She was in a flash between them and slammed their heads together, knocking them out. The trio entered the alleyway to find the crime scene, and a drawing of how the hero was laid on the ground along with usually papers with numbers on them and other things. And a stain of the man's blood on the ground. Toga for once didn't seem pleased with the sight of blood, and that said something. Ugh, the smell is so gross. How can you handle it like this? Melissa asked in both annoyance and disgust. I killed hundreds of people, Melissa. This is nothing to me. Something in the 2 girls flinches, but they said nothing. I got used to the sight and smell considering how many heroes and government agents I murdered. As for me, well, my quirk makes attracted to the smell of blood. Toga shrugged her shoulders. Melissa sighed and grabs a device from her pocket that looks like one of those Dragon Ball scouters. She placed it her left ear and eye, then pressed the button. She scanned the area with her device as she looked around for a bit at the blood, then other places. She walked back from where Ingenium entered the alleyway, then to where he was shot, then looked at the wall. Here? Melissa pointed out to a wall and the 3 looked to see a small home in there. Is where the bullet stopped. Deku nodded before looking at Melissa curiously. Can you track the trajectory of the bullet? Deku asked hopefully. Melissa nodded as she pressed a second button on her scouter and the glass started glowing and beeping. After few seconds she pointed to a building maybe 300 meters away. To the rooftop specifically. There. The bullet came from that rooftop if my device is right? Melissa said, unsure. I have full faith in you and your invention, Shield Maiden. Let's go. Deku said as he walked outside of the alleyway. Melissa followed with her cheeks turning pink and Toga smiling widely. Few minutes later, they found themselves in the rooftop where the bullet originated theoretically, and they looked around for anything. There? Toga chirped enthusiastically as she pointed to a stand for a rifle with a smile on her face. Deku looked surprised for a second before smiling widely. Good job, Toga-san. Delu said as he walked to the stand. Yay? Toga said, happy to be praised. Melissa used her scouter on the stand and scowled deeply. Sorry, Deku. No fingerprints? Melissa said, disappointed. Delu shook his head and took out his glove. Reading touch could read the object's short-term memory. Short-term as in a day or a bit more? Deku said as he touched the stand. So? Toga said curiously. A woman, early 30s, silver hair and blue eyes from what I see. A very good sniper too, because she didn't wait for too long to shoot, and this is Ingenium we are talking about? Deku said with a frown. Razor? Melissa groaned, causing Deku and Toga to look at her in surprise. You know her? Toga asked, curious and surprised. No. But you know I have contacts in the Vigilante Alliance to rat out CRC and ISP whenever we get some info, right? They nodded. Well, I also get some gossip in return. A contracted killer. Good, no, very good and hard to catch. The Alliance hired her a couple times and she doesn't have a real name or ID, so she is practically a ghost? Melissa sighed. Deku hummed. So that proves that someone is messing with us instead of just Ingenium having an enemy? Deku summarized. So what now? Toga asked curiously. I try to ask for some information. Melissa sighed in exasperation. Deku grabbed his phone. And so will I, it seems. Deku said with a sigh. Toga pouted at being left in the dust but didn't complain either. Omake. Demon puppy eyes from Hellpoint 6. Shinso was scrolling through his phone looking for some funny cat videos with a bored expression. Then he Mahoro running towards him with airy and alarm bells rang in his head. Oh no. Not them. I mean, yeah, he likes the boss daughters, but they claimed so many souls with those eyes of hell. He refuses to be our next victim. Shinso gulped and looked around frantically for an escape. Oh no, I know where this is going. Hell no. He said quickly as he tried to run, but he forgot these are he daughters of a supervillain. Their speed was no joke. Eri beamed happily as she gave that horribly innocent look. Uncle Shinso. Eri said with excitement as her eyes sparkled. Shinso gulped. Oh no, he thought with an internal groan, but forced a smile at the little girl. Yeah? Shinso asked carefully. Mahoro grinned. We watched Alice in Wonderland with Daddy and decided on having a Mad Hatter's tea party. Can you play Marquet Hair for the party? Shinso gulped and looked around. But I have some plans for today. Great, shittiest excuse of all time. Mahoro and Eri activated their unbeatable quirk, the one that Karma and All for One combined couldn't resist. Their eyes became impossibly wide and innocent and their bottom lips trembled and quivered. Please, uncle. They said unison. Later. Shinso was dressed as Marquet Hair and had his brow twitching violently. They got you too? Shinso asked to the other adult. Gentle was dressed as Mad Matter. The man shook his head with a smile. Oh no, my good friend. They said tea party and I agreed to join instantly. No terrifyingly cute puppy eyes needed, Gentle said honestly. Shinso just groaned accepting his fate. Eri was dressed as Alice along with Mahoro. The two girls grinned at each other. This is going to be fun. They both said unison. Later. Shinso groaned as he sit in the bar just to look at the previous victims looking at him sympathy. March hair, huh? Nagant asked in amusement. Whatever you say, magical girl Nagant. Shinso mumbled, causing the others to burst in laughter. Welp, at least he lasted longer than them. Razor. Melissa groaned, causing Deku and Toga to look at her in surprise that she was the one to recognize the person. You know her? Toga asked, curious and surprised. No. But you know I have contacts in the Vigilante Alliance to rat out CRC and ISP whenever we get some info, right? They nodded. Well, I also get some gossip in return. A contracted killer. Good, no, very good and hard to catch. The Alliance hired her a couple times and she doesn't have a real name or ID, so she is practically a ghost? Melissa sighed. Deku hummed. So that proves that someone is messing with us instead of just Ingenium having an enemy? Deku summarized. So what now? Toga asked curiously, tilting her head to the side. I try to ask for some information. Melissa sighed in exasperation. Deku grabbed his phone. And so will I, it seems. Deku said with a sigh. Toga pouted at being left in the dust but didn't complain either. This was work, not a game. Plus she was promised to be the spy mistress of the League once the organization starts. Melissa grabbed her phone and sent a text to her source, or more like a person she rats her enemies to, who happens to be mostly CRC and ISP and MLA but never the QLF. She and Deku sympathized with them, so they never ratted them out. Selena Gomez. Yo. Sawa Takeo. What is it? Instant answer? That's unexpected. Both names are fake, but, well, that is to be expected considering the circumstances. Melissa was a goddamn supervillain, for crying out loud, and well, he doesn't know she knows, but it's the freaking crawler as her contact in the Vigilante Alliance. Selena Gomez. Need to find someone if you don't mind. Sawa Takeo. I assume you can't just ask the police about them? Selena Gomez. No? Selena Gomez. They're looking for her too. Selena Gomez. I prefer to find her first though if you don't mind. Sawa Takeo. Very well. Sawa Takeo. But you do know that the Alliance will want something from you in return, right? Sawa Takeo. Depending on how serious the thing you ask for is though. Sawa Takeo. Who is it? Selena Gomez. Razor? Sawa Takeo. Are you kidding me? Sawa Takeo. No, you most certainly do. Selena Gomez. Chill out, man. Selena Gomez. It's important, all right. Selena Gomez. I can offer things in exchange too, you'll love them, ma dude. Sawa Takeo. Listen up, lady. Sawa Takeo. I have you in my contact list because you regularly give us info about several notable criminal hideouts, especially CRC and ISP and sometimes even MLA somehow. Sawa Takeo. Which is pretty cool, honestly. Sawa Takeo. And we are very thankful for your donations and consider ourselves to be somewhat indebted along with the Underground Hero Network too. Sawa Takeo. But it's super suspicious how you could catch such info like this. Sawa Takeo. And you never ask for anything in return no matter how valuable the info you give. Sawa Takeo. And I don't even know who you are or even if you are actually a woman. Selena Gomez. Good. Selena Gomez. Works both ways, honestly. Selena Gomez. I have some new things. Selena Gomez. You won't like them. Selena Gomez. But I need to find Razor and NOW. Sawa Takeo. What do you need from her and how do you know if she is active? Selena Gomez. She did something bad which caused a huge problem. Selena Gomez. For a lot of people. Selena Gomez. She is too active and was hired for something that pissed off people that shouldn't be pissed off no matter what. Selena Gomez. I hope that someone knows anything about her on your end or I am hitting a wall. Selena Gomez. Might be even stuff like a coffee shop she frequents or an ex of he sorts if possible. Selena Gomez. Would also prefer to know any of her associates that is secretly in contact or any sort of safe house she has if possible. Sawa Takeo. Give me a moment. Melissa waited for 2 hours. 2 hours she spent in small bar with Toga and Deku, who was getting frustrated with his own end. Seems Gurin couldn't deliver for once, which made sense, the guy worked with villains not mercenaries. She just did some chit-chat and grew jokes back and forth while they listened to people's bad singing and watched some corny videos on her phone. Then she got a text and focused on her phone and her contact. Sawa Takeo. Well, the Alliance conditionally agrees to help you, lady. Selena Gomez. Let me guess. Selena Gomez. Conditionally as in depends on what your stuff is type of agreement? Sawa Takeo. Yes, sort of. Selena Gomez. Okay, so I have 2 things for you, so listen well. Selena Gomez. First. Razor assassinated freaking Ingenium. Sawa Takeo. What? Selena Gomez. I know that for certain. Selena Gomez. Don't question it because not telling you how I know or from who. Selena Gomez. I am sure that actually got karma ready and preparing to pull the symbol of evil on who hired her for this. Selena Gomez. I mean like what he did with the HPSC HQ, if you still remember. Sawa Takeo. OFUCK. Selena Gomez. Yeah, my reaction exactly. Selena Gomez. Second. The League of Villains is planning something big in public within the next week. Selena Gomez. I do not know the location nor the exact time, but it's apparently some major operation. Selena Gomez. Karma will most certainly show up in person. I assure you. And it will be something that will screw over some bad guys terribly. Selena Gomez. There is a chance 50-50 that I will be able to warn you a day or 2 before it happens and the location, but I can't promise that I'll know what they are planning to do exactly. Selena Gomez. So, deal? Sawa Takeo. Yes, we'll send you what we know in 2 hours. Sawa Takeo. Are you alright with us telling the heroes that something nasty is going to happen soon? Selena Gomez. What heroes? Are they good people? Because I am not a fan of idiots. Sawa Takeo. Eraserhead, because we trust him along with Ms. Joke. They are very close to the Alliance. Sawa Takeo. Along with probably Nedzu and the U.A, but the Commission wouldn't catch wind of it. Sawa Takeo. That I promise you. Selena Gomez. Alright then, send the word. Melissa grinned at her phone screen before looking at her 2 companions excited. That got them to perk up and look at her curiously. Anything you have to report? Deku asked quietly in the bar and Melissa nodded. Yeah, I should get everything the Vigilante Alliance knows about our silver-haired shooter in maybe 2 hours or a bit more. Melissa confirmed with a smile. Great. Now to catch the menace and see who sparked this mess. Toga said excitedly, and Deku sighed tiredly as he pinched the bridge of his nose. What's wrong, Deku? Melissa asked with a worried expression. He looked exhausted, while not physically because he could run marathons for days, but mentally. Looks like running a villainous organization is a taxing job more than they thought. Not that she blamed him, they had some incident once every day and 2 on weekends. The League's shenanigans are something from a drama comedy show or something. Nothing. It's just that I am very stressed these days and video games aren't that good of an outlet for my frustrations. Something comes up every couple days, and with the burning mess that's this country I feel like I am going to burn out before I am done. Deku ranted as he buried his face into his hands. The 2 girls felt bad and hugged him tightly. Internally they grinned. Oh, they could offer him an outlet for stress, and a nice one too. One that he would enjoy so much, and so would they. But unfortunately they should stick to consoling him for now because, well, they didn't confess yet, let alone move up to that level in a relationship. He would probably get a heart attack if they suggested that as a stress relief. It's okay, Deku? Maybe you should take some rest for tonight. Just eat something and go to sleep, and if you don't want to keep on the investigation and if you still want to work, maybe we could go watch something like a comedy movie until I get the info. Melissa offered with a smile, hugging him from the right. Toga nodded her head in acknowledgement as she was hugging his left. Yes. Let's go have some fun and relax for a bit. You worked too hard, so you need to chill for a bit. After all, what good is a tired and non-functional supervillain? Toga asked as she pulled Deku to his feet. They ended up watching a movie about Transformers while they waited for the info. When it did, they got the location for a safe house of Razor. Once the movie ended, they decided to go there quickly. Melissa was walking to Razor's safe house with both Shinso and Toga as her escorts. You ask where Deku is? Well, he got an important call from Red and she gave a meeting place for the 2 of them. QLF stuff and she wasn't gonna ask what. It wasn't in her pay grade. Old Deku pays them really well, and her leader and not-so-secret crush looked too stressed and exhausted and just done for her to bother him. So here she was walking with both Shinso and Toga. Both could paralyze someone with their quirks and quickly finish them off. You ask why need backup? Well, they were going to meet up with a dangerous hired killer, so better be careful and not cause a scene. After the three of them left the hero patrolled parts of house, they put on face masks and put their earpieces on. And in the case of her escorts, their weapons. Shinso put his gun at a holster by his side while Toga had 2 butcher knives at her belt ready to stab anyone. They were in a dangerous part of town, so better make it obvious they meant business. So may I know why are we showing that we have weapons instead of secrecy? Shinso asked casually through his mask. No one else will hear them, but they can hear each other perfectly. Because there is the chance that some local villains might attack us thinking we are easy prey for being young. Melissa explained patiently. There was also a high chance they might cross paths with vigilantes trying to clean up some of their problems and just going to avenge Ingenium. The guy was popular and for a good reason too. So better prepare in case they ended up meeting up with the Alliance members. After all, if they were willing to stalk to kill someone that was once upon a time one of them to stay under the radar, what's stopping them from going after an assassin that killed a aligned hero in the top 20? And how do we find this lady? Because Deku-kun texted Guerin and our greedy friend for once came up empty-handed. That never happened and I am his main middleman with the League. Toga said unsure and Melissa sighed at that. I will see what we can do. Melissa answered unsure herself. Razor was, to say the least, a master of what she does. She was in the business for 15 years now and had at least impressively over 200 kills. Political kills, revenge, grudge, business partners, you name it. If you got the cash, she will get it done the way you desire, whether it was a quick gunshot, a stab to vital place, or seemingly an accident. After investigating this mysterious mercenary, Deku uncovered that was the reason for the death of multiple Hero Commission-aligned politicians and investors. Deku decided to have a talk with Nedzu about hiring mercenaries to kill the supporters of his enemies. They didn't have actually any proof about it and they didn't feel like serving justice to those whom were killed, but Deku felt the need to call the rat on his hypocrisy. But that wasn't any of her concerns were about finding this assassin and squeezing the knowledge from her. You ask what knowledge? Well, Razor's was to say the least the definition of a slippery snake. She crawled between the cracks of the underworld's crime groups and did jobs for anyone with cash, no questions asked. Well, we can hire her as an anonymous and then jump her when she least expects it. Shinso offered and Melissa hummed softly at that. It might work, if we offer enough money, but one should be careful. Melissa said while considering the thought with what they knew, but they had to be careful. Razor served herself and wasn't afraid of killing a client that pissed her off or denied her the payment. Nobody dared to refuse paying her after she single-handedly murdered an entire small-time Yakuza clan 7 years ago in Kyoto. Back on the subject, Razor was one of the most knowledgeable people around. She knew so much about the Elite Four, the Alliance, the underground community, the Udate, the hero and government in general from her jobs that the Japanese government refused to touch her. Her power was more than just being as deadly as a SS-ranked villain, but the fact that all parts of the Japanese Shadow War were too afraid of her ratting them out to their enemies. And that's why Deku was so interested in recruiting her into the League after knowing who in the actual hell hired her to kill Ingenium, because honestly if Deku didn't turn on the responsible he will just burn down all suspects and be done with it. Which would be too much of a bloodshed, so as the devoted lover she was, she will stop him from committing unnecessary murders. They reached the address and she tensed in preparation, causing her 2 companions to narrow their eyes. There is someone on the lookout in front of the abandoned building that is supposedly a local safe house of Razor. Unfortunately they have a hoodie. With a mask. So she has no idea who they are. Ironic. We come in peace. Melissa shouted from a probably safe distance of about 20 meters away. We just want to talk if you don't mind. She used a slightly older voice. She is 18 years old and her companions were 16. Nobody would take them seriously unless they did admit that are from the League. And if her suspicions about the person in front of them are correct, that scenario would end in bloodshed. For them that is, about? The man answered casually while tilting his head to the side. Melissa narrowed her eyes. He is weirdly relaxed for someone faced by 3 unknowns who were obviously hiding their identities. He probably isn't alone, which seems likely if he was from the Alliance. Good thing she had La Brava watching over them with a drone she designed. Gentle hacker. Sniper on the building 100 meters in front of you. Gentle hacker. That's some very nasty riffle from what Kaya is saying. Gentle hacker, be careful. Oh, of course they have a sniper. That explains the lack of fear from this guy. And there is probably someone else too, if not more. in the process of searching the hideout for the silver-haired menace. Razor. Melissa replied calmly as she narrowed her eyes at the man in front of her. I heard that she had a safe house here. So, the man replies, spreading his arms. You must be Selena Gomez? That confirms her suspicions. Crawler was in front of her and ready for battle, and while she could beat him, she didn't want to antagonize the sniper. And you must be from the Vigilante Alliance? Melissa said, tilting her head. Neither Himiko nor Hitoshi moved, much less speak, but she is certain that they ready to attack on her command. I think I mentioned that I wanted to find Razor first. Sorry, but if your intel is correct, this is kinda personal. The Vigilante shrugs his shoulders in a carefree manner. If someone finds out what she did now, the Hero Commission will have a serious motivation to go after us for being one of her clients. Thus far we've mostly stayed under the radar. Besides, it's not like you told us why you want her. And she isn't going to. What is she supposed to say? Well, we're going to squeeze her info and offer her a place in our villainous organization? The first rule when you have a sniper aiming at you is to not give them a reason to pull the trigger. And such a sentence would be an amazing reason to do so. Fine. Melissa shrugged. But let's make an agreement. If we get her first, you won't intervene. If you find her first, we won't intervene. And whoever finds her, tells the other side about it so that they can stop wasting time on a useless search. I can work with that. The hooded man replied with a nod. You have the deal. She nodded her head and turned her back on him. Her comrades followed her silently. Naturally, they didn't let her stay silent for too long. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question. Shinso said first. Surprising since she thought Toga would be the first to speak. What now? And why do you seem super friendly with them? Yes, they know she had a contract in the Alliance, but not how much they like Selena Gomez for her info donations. You remember the bit where Deku assigned me when I first joined as his contact in the Alliance? She asked with a grin. Well, his father gave him a list of his old associates that he personally disliked. And I gave it to the Alliance. So we kinda have an, working relationship? I still rat out CRC and ISP and sometimes MLA to them and the underground community whenever I can. Are you sure he is 15 years old? Shinso asked with a skeptical look. I don't get how boss fits so many events in his short life. Probably by not wasting 95% of it on cats, coffee and internet, but she decides to be a bit more diplomatic than that. But Toga still said it. Cheeky girl. Probably by not wasting 95% of it on cats, coffee and internet eyebags? Toga said cheekily. That explains a lot. Shinso replied casually, not insulted in the slightest. So, who was that? He heard a voice from the earphone. Of course she would get interested. She was him with another girl. The lady who told us about Razor. The vigilante replied with a frown under his mask. Somewhere far away a certain sniper makes a thoughtful and suspicious face. Plus some bodyguards, I think they were anyways. She wanted to know if we found anything here. And did we find anything? She asked curiously, wanting to know. And honestly? So did he, it freezing in here and close to midnight? Not really. Another voice spoke with sigh. She wasn't here for a long time. I'm about to leave, so we should be able to wrap this all up soon, the person said with boredom. Hide yourself well before leaving the building. The sniper lectured. There is a drone hanging over you. I think they found me before or during the talk. Whoever they are good. And you are a bit too much of a public figure, Clar. It's Crawler, damn it. Crawler snapped in irritation. There is laughter on the network. Cheeky idiots. Selena Gomez. Okay, so I have good and bad news for you. Selena Gomez, it's about the League stuff. Sawa Takeo. Quick check first if you don't mind. Sawa Takeo? Did we have a meeting about 2 minutes ago? Selena Gomez. In Hosu, yes, that was me, nice hoodie. Sawa Takeo. Alright? Sawa Takeo. What is it? Sawa Takeo? BTW Eraserhead says that if you have a source in QLF for that time you warned us about the bombing a month ago in Kyoto, he wants in and offers full anonymity and a lot of favors from the underground heroes. Sawa Takeo. They are notoriously hard to infiltrate, I'm afraid. Selena Gomez. Nope. Selena Gomez. This is a bit of a special situation and not really a source. Kinda? Sawa Takeo? Selena Gomez. Okay, so in short, a friend with a got her parents killed and went to an orphanage. Was protected by a year older tough Corkless and I knew her too and 3 of us bonded. Selena Gomez. The hero is Endeavor, so Sheik the orphan newbie found her way to the League while the other one Corkless went to QLF and now is a cell leader. Selena Gomez. We bonded and they still call me, they tells me about stuff but they ain't going to tell me anything that might seriously endanger QLF or her. Same with the other in the League. So not a source of info, more like a source of gossip from the organizations. Sawa Takeo, this country is such a shitty place to live that SMH2 teens are somewhat high rankers in the two most dangerous organizations here and you are an info broker while just 18. Sawa Takeo, F this country. Selena Gomez, to quote someone I know, mood but yeah. Sawa Takeo, okay so give me the news. Selena Gomez, good thing is that Mightless has been pretty chill for the past months and increased her standards to over government only, no longer blowing up preschools or court genocide. Sawa Takeo, cool. Selena Gomez, yeah. Selena Gomez, bad news is the intel I got. Mightless is still planning something though for maybe 2 weeks from now. Sawa Takeo, that bad? Selena Gomez, Kyoto bombing campaign included 5 combat cells. Selena Gomez, this time they are mobilizing 50 combat cells for a single operation. Sawa Takeo, OF. Selena Gomez, my thoughts almost exactly it was oh shit. Selena Gomez, also they got some incredible funding, are pretty much drowning in weaponry, explosives and support items. Selena Gomez, and besides the combat cells there are also going to be some heavy weapons and demolition cells involved in the operation, no details on what they are. Sawa Takeo, I don't like the sound of that. Selena Gomez, me neither man me neither but for now. I am interested in selling you some information about the MLA if you are interested. Sawa Takeo, we or the underground heroes will probably take you up on that offer. Selena Gomez, leaving now, stay safe. Sawa Takeo, talked with Eraserhead. Sawa Takeo, he wants to meet you. Would like to bring a friend with him. Selena Gomez, is it the moment when I agree only to discover that the friend is All Might or Nedzu that didn't drink a single cup of tea in a week? Sawa Takeo, lol no. Sawa Takeo, some detective. Sawa Takeo, apparently they never heard about the MLA and want to hear what you got to offer. Sawa Takeo, Quirkism assaults and murders cases are on the raise, the heroes and police are stumped and all that. Sawa Takeo, neutral ground, you can bring your bodyguards, no one will ever know, you can stay behind your mask. Sawa Takeo, I already organized like 3 similar meetings with Eraserhead, I can vouch it's no trap, just desperation for help and information. Selena Gomez, conditional yes. Sawa Takeo, define conditional? Selena Gomez, I want autographs of all top 10 heroes working with the UA or at least friendly with it, preferably on something small like posters or some other merch. Sawa Takeo, is this an elaborate joke I'm too vigilante to understand? Selena Gomez, no I'm serious. Karma is one of my contacts and would pay so much for crust and the rest's autographs. Sawa Takeo, I'll see what I can do. I'll make Demon Puppy Eyes from Hellpoint 7. Eri was bored. Today her grandmas went to the forest to garden alone and she didn't know what to do, so she decided to go to her grandpa with an All Might mask. She had a great idea for today. Eri looked at her grandfather and beamed happily. Grandpa, let's play heroes together where you are All Might and I'm your new sidekick. It will be fun I promise. The unicorn said excited. All FPR1, the most evil and powerful and fearsome villain in the history of Japan gulped as he was reading his book. Not right now little Eri, I need to read this chapter from this book. He said with forced smile. No way in hell itself my gonna dress like All Might of all people. Era blinked before tilting her head. Her eyes turning into the ultimate persuasion quirk. Grandpa please. Eri said with her invisible puppy eyes looking at him with quivering and trembling lower lip. All for one blinked before he got into existential crisis. No, not the puppy eyes. But from the outside he smiled, although a bit forced. Okie sweeta, let's play heroes? Later. All for one was dressed in an All Might costume and even wearing an All Might mask. Haha ha and no need to worry, why because I'm here with my new sidekick. He declared loudly. Eri was his recovery girl and grinned. I'm Lady Unicorn and we gonna kick villains to next week. All for one nodded his head. Let's go Unicorn. Texas smash. Ugh, this is so embarrassing, good thing my brother can't see this or All Might, otherwise I would never live it down. Thought the villain humiliated, but at least his granddaughter was happy. Other members in the league were currently laughing their asses off after seeing this. It was truly the reality show of a lifetime. Mahoro basically put a camera for them to watch since Eri told her she wanted to play with her grandpa. People from Puppy Eyes Club were totally losing their shit. Ha 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 ha, there is our next club member. Tamura cackled hysterically. If Japan still exists by the end of the day. Shinso joked, although he looked a bit disturbed. Elsewhere with All Might and other vestiges. All Might stopped correcting the papers and frowned for some reason. Why do I have the feeling that I missed the best moment to get the best laughs in the world? The Vestiges looked at each other in confusion too, not knowing where the feeling of disappointment came from. The U.A Academy Sports Festival is a pain in the ass and a complete waste of time, at least in Shoyuta Aizawa's humble opinion. It is bad enough that he is constantly overworked. He is a hero, a teacher, and for some reason a certain rat's main contact in the tight-knit community of underground heroes and vigilantes. And then his quote-unquote best friend somehow managed to successfully rope him into being a commentator for the event. He still doesn't know how exactly that happened, and that is bad because without knowing what he did wrong he can't avoid such a mistake in the future. Now the start wasn't that bad. They had the obstacle course as the elimination part to exclude the huge number of students. It was designed like every other year to decrease the number of students participating in the second round into a manageable degree. The race was actually pretty entertaining in Shuta's opinion. His class along with Vlad's did pretty well, especially Uraraka, Bakugo and Todoroki. Those three seems to be on a rivalry of the sorts and got each other fired up for the round. Good, hopefully they keep said rivalry in a healthy level. No need to go too far or JE will ended with he shivered at the thought 3 Vlad Kings in his class. Ugh, the horror. Anyways, the rest of his class did well too. Yaoyorozu and Jairu seems to be teaming up for the most part of the course while Ida was lacking behind despite having S-speed quirk. Hopefully this will be a humbling experience. As the race was on the end it seemed that Todoroki or Bakugo might get first place but nope, Uraraka jumped in between them and stole first place. Cheeky girl but it was very amusing, and his bomber brat seems irritated so that's a plus in Shuta's book. Now for the second event, which is an explanation of what Shoyuta Aizawa hates he most in the world besides those who interrupted sleep, the hero rankings. The hero rankings they were illogical. Heroism is supposed to be about saving people not being number one. That type of shit is what creates idiots like Endeavor and Thunderbolt. Anyways, the people start scrambling to gain their team members and Uraraka picked the Urasquad. What type of name is that? Into her team. Kyoka Jairu, Toru Hagakure and Momo Yaoyorozu. Bakugo got Kirishima, Ashido and Siro into his team. If Shoyuta had to guess Kirishima went to someone that wouldn't give him the cold shoulder, so not Todoroki and then roped the other two into joining Bakugo. Todoroki also got Kaminari for wide area attacks and Ida for speed and the girl that's basically Power Loader's biggest headache and pain in the ass. Mei Hatsum, as far as he heard she was good but super duper upper hyperactive which made Shoyuta shiver. A crazier present Mike? Holy F. The round started and Team Uraraka is going at insane speeds running from everyone. Shoyuta must admit that zero gravity was a very versatile quirk with many applications. Yaoyorozu without her or her team's mass was running like a lightning bolt zigzagging from team to another. Bakugo ignored them for points and so did Todoroki while other teams kept gunning for them. The game kept on until Todoroki was left behind. And now he stole a lot of points after Kaminari unleashed a large-scale lightning attack and tried to corner Team Uraraka. Didn't work and they took to the sky. Team Todoroki followed and so did a lonely Bakugo. They cornered her and she awakened some bullshit All Might level super strength to create wind pressure. The deadly gremlin without a deadly quirk got super strength. God help us all, especially one Minoru Mineta. Team Uraraka wins. Joy. No, really joy. They earned it. Now for the tournament. After a nice 1-hour nap that he is longing for. Was a nice nap. A really nice nap. But all good things must come to an end it seems. So the tournament started. Bakugo crushed Tsuburaba while Jairun, he never tried so hard not to laugh in his life, tripped Ida out of bounds. Then Todoroki crushed Ishido. What the hell, kid? That was overboard. Then Yaoyorozu beat Kaibara. Then his favorite daughter against Vlad's brat. Oh the joy, the match almost got Shoyuta a heart attack. If that last attack actually hit her and killed her, Shoyuta would have murdered the brat, consequences be damned. Then there is the match between Hagakure and Kirishima. That match made him smile under his scarf. Good job Hagakure. Excellent use of your quirk, CQC and trickery to beat a living tank. Then Kaminari and Hatum's match. If you could even call it that. The girl went into a commercial on live TV for 15 minutes and while Shoyuta admits it was a logical move for her he still didn't like it. Then Kendo and Hanta, a nice match. Both sides gave it their all so he approves. But what now? Oh right, the quarterfinals. Jairu pulled a sadistic sore loser move, such a deviant, and made Bakugo fall on his knees in defeat even though he won. Holy shit, Shoyuta wished to see Endeavor like that. Then Todoroki and Yaoyorozu, the match was good but Todoroki was too strong for her. But he will make sure to tell her she did well later if she seemed down. Then the match of the two girls, a match of quirkless combat, to show the world they were more than just flashy quirks. That made him grin under his scarf. He will get them extra credit for that later. The match was good all around and he was impressed with their performance. Then Kaminari and Kendo, which was a quick finish. He doesn't know what to say honestly. Disappointing? No, his student won, but maybe he should get him into more quirkless combat lessons along with the rest of his class. Oh, now for the semi-finals. Bakugo versus Todoroki. That was an interesting match. Todoroki kept ignoring his fire, which was disappointing, and seems Bakugo thinks the same as he grabbed an earpiece and started yelling through it like Mike. Daddy issues? Is Endeavor a? Ugh, of course that flaming idiot abused his kids. His wife is in a mental hospital for F's sake. He will get Todoroki sessions with Hound Dog later, but now he will focus on the match. Bakugo went into a weird speech about his parents' quirks and his before that it was his quirk. Oh, you sneaky little brat, good job. It worked after a bit more words and Todoroki's flames exploded. They were about to charge, but now Endeavor had to ruin the moment for them. Oasi Bakugo was cussing him. They are both called. Number 2. Shoyuta couldn't hold it in. He really couldn't. He cackled into his mic like a madman at that roast, and he is so getting Bakugo extra credit for that roast. Then the two problem children clashed. It was mess and his students were both injured, with Bakugo taking the most of the explosion to save Todoroki from getting killed. Since the blonde was physically capable of handling explosions better. Good thing Karma let his daughter work today as a healer, because this brat without her help is either gonna die or have his career end before it even started. Reckless brats. But at least the second coming of Recovery Girl could fix him. Her quirk was great and she had so much potential. Shoyuta couldn't wait until she was in his class. It's the finals now and Shoyuta wants to go home because this monster trio are making him question his sanity. They were 3 monsters in the form of teenagers. The match was basically mass destruction, and it ended with a one final epic clash. Bakugo and Uraraka were the last ones standing. But Bakugo still pulled the win with a one final explosion and a headbutt. Such a stubborn brat, but at least Eraserhead knows this one won't be easily killed on the field. The award ceremony was next, and Bakugo was using the opportunity to shout insults at the number 1 idiot on live TV. Shoyuta was having the time of his life watching that. However, the event is now finally over. Eraserhead sighs with relief and goes to class. He gives a small words of encouragement to his hellions. He vanishes from class quickly and goes to his car to go home. He could smell Emmy's cooking from here and he is almost salivating for a home-cooked meal and long 7 hours of comfortable sleep with his warm favorite body pillow. Don't judge him, he was a man. Then somehow he was cordially invited to the rat's office. Now these not good. When he entered there was All Might, Night Eye, David Shield and Detective Tsukachi. Oh boy, that's not good. What the hell happened this time? Alright, let's cut to the chase. What the hell happened this time? Aizawa asked with a groan, feeling the headache about to arrive. There was silence for a bit, which was almost deafening until Tsukachi spoke up. Somebody has killed Ingenium. It is mostly suspected to be the hero killer Stain, Tsukachi said grimly. He looked uncomfortable and mortified. Shoyuta took a second to register that. Someone killed Tensei? How? Why? A villain? But Tensei wasn't weak. He was number 17 for F's sake. Shoyuta looked at the rat. He looked preparing to go on warpath. Night Eye looked ready to join him. All Might is tired, David is worried and Tsukachi looks so done. Then it caught up to him. You are plotting to fight the League? Shoyuta couldn't believe it. Was this rat insane? Shoyuta doesn't want to imagine what Karma would do to his students if provoked. This was a school with kids, not a hero agency. Not in direct combat, regretfully Karma has a lot of power, dangerous followers and an army to beat all armies. It's impossible to battle him head-on. And even though he has been very friendly since the USJ attack, I'm afraid we will have to start considering that he may not be as friendly as we thought. After all, we now see the results of being too lax with someone as cunning and as ruthless as Shigaraki-san. Nedza said coldly. The rat is pissed, and royally so if Eraserhead is correct. The rat doesn't take it lightly to those who mess with him and especially his people. He must be livid now that someone killed someone he knows. Come now? Toshinori starts. I know he is a villain, but he still admires good heroes, so I doubt that he would initiate an attack on a hero allied with us. Especially that Ingenium was a very good person and never discriminated against a person before. Night Eye thought of that for a second. So you are saying that it might be a setup? Night Eye seemed considerate. So was Shoyuta trying to make the League and the U.A come to blows just to slay the winner? Sounds like something a lot of people would do. But then again, it's not that outlandish considering how much power Karma was amassing and how strong he was. It was like the symbol of evil all over again but with more morals and friendliness. To them anyways, nobody could question Karma's ruthlessness if provoked. His kills and slaughters speak for themselves. Or maybe Stain went renegade? Tsukachi offered with a frown. Possible, but if what we know about is correct then he follows Karma not from fear but respect. Stain seems like the sword of Arthur. He can't be wielded by anyone he doesn't see as worthy of him, David said with a shake of his head. A setup then? Shoyuta summarized. We can't know for sure but it seems the most likely option, but I am still going to hunt down the hero killer until otherwise is proven, Nedza declared to them. The festival was just over for this to happen. Fantastic. Tensei was killed and they were possibly to come to blows with the worst villain in Japan who was treating them as his own for now and could kill them all if he wished. It's the worst scenario possible. And they were sent a message by Karma. After a bit of texting they looked at each other with weary expressions before Nedza spoke. I think we should forget about going after Stain for now. No need for my students to pay for my deeds after all, Nedza stated. There was no objections to that. Knuckleduster tried to play tough and now they will have to live with images in their heads. Goddamn all this. But wait. Why was Tensei in house anyways? And alone? Do you have something to say, Nedzu? Shoyuta asked, and please let him be wrong. 15 minutes later All Might stormed out of the office threatening to punch Nedzu out of his office. Shoyuta wasn't that far behind. Shoyuta groaned as he walked his car just to see a familiar face, and his exhaustion increased. What the hell ID wrong with today? I should probably ask how one of the key members of the Vigilante Alliance managed to sneak into the school today. Despite all the additional security, Aizawa said in a conversational tone, while Crawler smiles at him apologetically. But I think I don't care. I'm just happy that the festival's over with. Gonna leave something to your imagination, old man? Koichi's smile grew wider somehow. Let's just say that I'm here legally. Yeah, right. And let's ignore the part where his very existence is illegal, because he is a wanted man in Japan. So why are you here? Aizawa asked with a sigh. No rest for him it seems. Can we have a talk? Crawler replies. Selena gave me some concerning intel. Crawler is normally a ray of sunshine in the form of man. If he thinks something is concerning, it probably is. He wasn't a hero, just a kid in the costume, but he survived as a vigilante long enough for Shoyuta to treat him seriously. So he will indulge him. Fine, but not here. The underground hero replied. The rat is watching. He knows of just the right place, and a part of him wonders how long it would take Present Mike to find him. A cat cafe, really? Koichi isn't impressed as he looked around him skeptically. You have a problem with my choice? Shoyuta asks while a cat lands itself on his lap. They are old acquaintances at this point, and the cat knows that it's a comfortable place. No, not really. Crawler retreats. Not a fight that he can win. I relayed your offer to Selena about the QLF. He refused. Tisk, Eraserhead hoped for a different answer. The Quirkless Liberation Front is legendarily hard to infiltrate. To begin with, they only accept quirkless or those who are late bloomers like Mightless, and thus spent years being discriminated against as quirkless. It is hard to find someone like that who is willing to work with the heroes. Or with anyone who was quirked. Did she say why? Eraserhead hopes that it was something that can be fixed with a bigger bribe. Apparently her friend who quote-unquote had her parents die in the crossfire on Endeavor's justicing. Koichi is visibly disgusted with the last part. Thebgirl went to an orphanage, was picked on for being shy, a quirkless defended her. So they bonded over that with Selena who lost her own parents and liked no one else in the orphanage. The quirkless girl has joined the QLF while the other one is in the League, which is ironic since she dreamed of being a heroine, and the two speak to Selena who is basically an information broker. They trust her enough to share some gossip. Or perhaps more than that, but said friends will not give anything that could actually threaten the QLF and the League or themselves. Stupid prejudices just costed us another hero girl with a potential. Eraserhead wishes he had a way to get back at Endeavor. He would love to do something nasty and creative. Or ask Nedza to do it for him. Wouldn't be the first time, all things considered. But unfortunately the flaming moron was untouchable because he was Mizuki's poster boy on putting crime under control and keeping the things stable. Wonderful. But I assume you have more than that to talk about? Another dose of said gossip, Koichi replied with sigh. QLF has much better funding than anyone thought, and is, apparently, drowning in weaponry, explosives and support equipment. That's a quote actually. Also whatever. Operation they are planning, it will involve Mightless herself, and at least 1,000 soldiers. Eraserhead almost spits out the coffee when he hears the number. What are they planning to do, storm the Prime Minister Mizuki and assassinate him? Blow open the Tartarus? Shoyuta asked as he stared at the vigilante with a shock on his face. The latter is a massive over-exaggeration, but the former could work. Depends on the timing, really. If the attack happens when Endeavor and All Might aren't there, the QLF will probably succeed. And with Mizuki's death it will depend on who takes his place. No idea. But they are fielding 50 combat cells, and an unknown number of demolition and heavy weapon cells, but we have no idea what those are. Crawler said. Apparently the Kyoto bombing campaign was carried out by 5 combat cells. So, it's going to be pretty bad. Understatement of the century. Shoyuta is already getting a headache from this. Ingenium and now this? What the hell? I'll mention that to Nedzu. If there is a single person in Japan capable of somehow counteracting such an operation without making Mightless realize that someone sold her, it is the rat. Anything else? Well, it seems our friend Selena has some info on the MLA that is urgent? Crawler said, unsure. Go on. Shoyuta said, dinking some coffee. Our friend Selena appears to know something about that is urgent. Crawler continued. Apparently, it's pretty bad that she feels like offering it instead of waiting for us to ask. Now that is worrying. Info brokers never offer, they take offers, so this must be big. There was a steady raise in the quirkism-related crimes and the MLA resources were mostly unknown to them. Even Nedzu isn't sure how dangerous are they fully. Did she tell you anything more about them? Shoyuta asked. Not yet, but she is positively worried of how much power they amassed in the past 2 decades. Crawler is starting to look uncomfortable. How the hell does an 18-year-old woman get this much info? Eraserhead asks. Crawler shrugged in answer. Dunno. Can't get a read on her, really? The vigilante replied. She gives the Alliance a lot of valuable intel very often, then asked for our help in finding Razor, oddly enough. Razor? Eraserhead is now getting increasingly interested in Selena Gomez. Why? Again, no clue. Crawler shrugged. She says that she needs to find her before the police do. Alliance would have normally told her to get lost, but she made a claim that Razor was the one that killed Ingenium under contract with an unknown. That made Shoyuta choke. What? So it was a setup. Yeah, and the problem is that she works a lot with us. Crawler sighed and Shoyuta narrowed his eyes. You're trying to clean it up on your end? Eraserhead asked and Crawler nodded. Basically, yes. Crawler has the decency to look ashamed, which is good. He just admitted that his organization is seeking to kill someone to cover up their messes. Then again, Eraserhead works for Nedzu. He isn't one to judge in something like this. But we've investigated the connection. Ingenium died to sniper shot. Razor, as you know yourself, was the closest to Lady Nagant in shooting prowess, and she is the only one who could hit someone as fast as Ingenium accurately. You think you could organize a meeting for us? Eraserhead decided to ask. This info about Redestro and his army would be vital. Preferably me and a certain detective from the local police. Full confidentiality, no need to get unmasked, can bring her bodyguards on neutral ground, can refuse to answer a question and so on. He is almost certain that the person in question is a villain. Probably a small-time one, but you could never be sure. I can ask. Koichi shrugged. But I'm not going to try to pressure her into it. She sounds pretty serious. And if Karma got her back, then better not piss her off. Shoyuta nodded his head. Yes, better not piss her off. Few hours later. Melissa isn't sure who was more surprised by the news. Hypnosis or vampire? Then again, it's normally a suicide to meet up with a hero and a vigilante and a police detective in an empty warehouse because there is a high chance it's huge setup. But it's important, Redestro's forces are much larger than the Gov and HPSC accounts for, and even Nedzu and the U. War Council have no idea about the power he amassed. Then again, didn't they just uncover it few days ago after months of investigation? With resources and ways the heroes aren't comfortable with? We are what? Hypnosis asked with skeptical but very surprised look. Toga is just staring at her in shock. Well, they could give a far worse reaction. We are going to meet with Eraserhead and some police detective, because Deku wants signatures of several heroes? She replied with a straight face. That was enough reasons for her to take the risk. Deku would always take risks for them. Also, this will be an opportunity to rat out the MLA and let the U.A and regretfully the Gov and HPSC know how much of a danger Redestro is. I promise once you hear the intel yourself you will need cats to get rid of the nightmares. If I didn't see you stomping the #1 hero and smash him to next week, I'd seriously think you are leading us into a trap. So yeah, let's go get the boss his merch. Hypnosis said with sigh. Plus yeah, if the boss wants that, then it's enough reason for me to take the risk. He added. Me too. Anything for Deku-kun? Toga chirped enthusiastically as she gave a double peace sign. Melissa smiled. Deku was really loved by all of them. And he earned it. The meeting location is in an abandoned warehouse from what Crawler described. Melissa got the entire area surrounding it double-checked for possible traps, and then deployed not one but two of her drones, now with night vision, infrared and some other things her friends doesn't understand as surveillance. She also organized a table and a few chairs and kept Kurogiri on the standby just in case things went south. She did trust Eraserhead, but if he figured she was Shield Maiden he might decide to eliminate a heavy hitter while he could. It is close to midnight. She went in flanked by Vampire and Hypnosis, she wearing her infiltration hoodie and face-concealing mask. Vampire also has her knives and Hypnosis has his gun and capture scarf. Both of them were wearing cloaks and full masks to hide their identities and weapons. Deku taught them the trade and, funny enough, had such scenarios practiced in the base like it was a school of the sorts. Even Kota and Mahoro and Katsuma could handle such a deal now. The guests arrived soon after midnight. Eraserhead, the guy in a hoodie that she suspects to be his alliance contact who is the Crawler himself, and the good detective. Of course they brought in Naomasa Tsukachi as the detective. His quirk was very valuable. Time to start the game. Eraserhead has no idea why, but somehow Sir Night-Eye, All Might's former sidekick, has caught wind of the meeting. He suspected Nedzu to be responsible. Night-Eye apparently heard about the MLA and decided to listen on this because he was leading the investigation on them and was coming empty for a while. He must frustrated. Eraserhead refused to include another person in the meeting. Sir Night-Eye would be present only as an observer through a camera and an internet connection with an option to speak to Eraserhead through an earphone if needed. Hopefully he wouldn't have to because it would alert the info broker. Eraserhead isn't sure what he was expecting. The meeting place is rather standard, although most villains preferred to meet in public places since the threat of heroes actually lowered the chance of people coming to blows, but here one side is heroes. Crawler doesn't make any "oh you brought someone new" comment, so the two bodyguards are either the same people as those following the informant and hosts a few hours ago or have very similar body build. Selena Gomez is sitting in a chair on one side of the table. There are two chairs on the opposite side and one beside it, probably for Crawler who was the middleman. The bodyguards stand behind the man himself. Crawler hands the bag of merch to Gomez, who briefly checks it before handing it to one of the bodyguards. "Great," she said with hidden smile that he barely caught. Eraserhead's estimation of her age based on the voice aligns with Crawler's. She is 18 years old. "So what do you wish to know about first?" "MLA," Eraserhead says. They have a plan. Naomasa has a small item courtesy of Power Loader and David's shield in his pocket. Pretty much a button that, if pressed, will make another item on Eraserhead's finger jolt him slightly. Something to signify that the detective noticed a lie, but without warning their informant about his lie-detecting ability. Let's go chronologically. When did you become aware of them? About 2 years ago. Before their coup too, she replies. That shocked him. She was knowledgeable on his streets before leaving the orphanage. Must have been planning what to do once kicked to the streets. I was told by someone to investigate them. Can't say why or by whom exactly, but I did so for almost a year. And I hate their guts. And what can you tell us exactly? Eraserhead asks. Let's start with a bit of context, shall we? Selena tilted her head. Strange. The Meta Liberation Army. Found originally by Chikara Kazakami. The first leader of the Meta Liberation Army who desired to create a world where the quirked weren't feared or hated. But unfortunately, for him that is, he was defeated and was sent to jail where he died there after committing suicide. And why are you telling me something from textbooks? Eraserhead asked. Because Rikiya Yatsubashi is a descendant of Destroy, not just a fanboy, Selena explained. That shocked them greatly. Eraserhead wasn't jolted, so she must be believing it to be the truth. Took up the villain name of Redestro, which is unoriginal, and decided to make some major changes. He had both a very powerful quirk and a shit ideology according to which quirks were the defining feature of someone, and the stronger your quirk the better you are, with those whom are quirkless to be worthless. I think speak for all of us when I say that he is an idiot. Eraserhead couldn't agree more, and this information was somewhat useful if only that now they know a bit more about their enemy. I think I can see why he doesn't get along with QLF. Mightless must dislike him. Naomasa commented. She doesn't. She despises him for being the direct reason for the death of her 5-year-old son. Selena replied with disgust, surprising them both and probably Night-Eye too. Which, all things considered, was pretty villainous even for Karma's standards. So what if I could tell you also about Mightless herself? Interested in her history? Would be nice. Eraserhead comments calmly. Why not get more info for free? Sounds good to him. And maybe they could find a weakness of hers too. She only shrugs in answer. Alright then. How do you know all that? Naomasa seems to be in agreement with Eraserhead. But he is also sharing his confusion. Listen, Selena said with a sigh. I hate Redestro. Like I really do. If I was locked in a room with him, Maria, Beast and a gun with 2 bullets, I would shoot Redestro twice. Eraserhead is surprised by that. But he does agree. Hero seems to adopt Redestro's ideology on quirks being the most important thing and it bothers him. Over-reliance on your quirk is a slow and insidious killer. Alright, let's start. Mightless, also previously known as Makoto Shinamaru, leader of the Quirkless Liberation Front. She lost her parents at the age of 10 after they died in a villain attack. Lived in an orphanage until she was of age. Nobody wanted to adopt a quirkless. Eraserhead scowled at that. She was a law-obedient woman after she was kicked out of the orphanage. Got a job in a bank. And worked her hardest but had the bad habit of drinking her frustrations away. Eraserhead knows where this was going. So she was having a baby after working for a whole year and lived alone? Had a son that she naked Nawaki Shinamaru because, well, she doesn't know his father. She raised him herself and worked her hardest. I asked neighbors who still remembered Makoto. They said that she was a nice woman who wouldn't kick a puppy, and her son was a living sunshine even though he was quirkless. Nice to all, and all kids still were his friends despite being quirkless. So to sum up, a very happy family of 2. Selena sighed. Eraserhead was getting really afraid of hearing how much a woman, especially that Naomasa registered it as truth, became the person who was committing genocides. Her son Nawaki. He loved heroes and wished to be one. He idolized All Might, and from what he neighbors told me would walk around in an All Might onesie shamelessly and laugh while doing so. Then one day her home was robbed by thieves who somehow knew that she owns the bank account codes for many of her clients and wanted to steal them. My research proved that Detronat, which he bank worked with closely, someone ordered to rat her out to said villain gang. Eraserhead will skin Yatsubashi himself. He swears it. F. Redestro woman? Crawler grumbled. With a chainsaw? Tsukachi sighed. So she awakened Laser Disc in self-defense while desperately trying to protect her child but was still shot along with her beloved son. She survived. Her son didn't. So she took the name Mightless as some play on the name of her child's idol and swore revenge on those who hurt the quirkless like her and Nawaki. Selena explained. Eraserhead really felt sad. He would never admit out loud, but he loved children. The story of such a sweet boy dying like that for her. Lacking a quirk? It broke his heart, and he knew villains were created and not born, but maybe he can use this story but change few facts as a lesson to his class? Make them understand that villains are still humans and should be treated as such? Would be a valuable lesson to them. Can you tell us information about her quirk? Eraserhead asked. Selena nodded. Her quirk is laser disc, as you know, allows her to create discs of energy that could cut through extremely solid objects like a hot knife through butter. She can create up to 20 discs at once and control them to the sail level. Hawks could control his feathers. A single disc could grow to .g size of a car or shrink to the size of a coin. The discs could also explode in very strong explosions, might I add. And the most dangerous part is the fact that she could use her discs as a warp gates to teleport things to herself or herself to other places, but not both in the same time. She could go anywhere as long as she got the coordinates, and she is very skilled with her quirk. Eraserhead knew most of these things, but the whole part of the count and car wasn't showed in the video along with the weakness of her warping. Nezu only had it as a theory. That certainly does sound like a Redestro level threat, Tsukachi admitted with a gulp, and Eraserhead agrees with him wholeheartedly. Extremely sharp discs, WTH Hawks level control mastery and control, mass explosion and warping? Class 5 quirk, no doubt about it. Something the government missed completely. Could we go back to his subject about Redestro now? As you all know, Destro's army was eventually defeated, and most of its members incarcerated. Selena responded. Most of, says Shoyuta. Selena nodded. She pulled out file and placed it on the table. The survivors of Destro's army thought that his descendants should carry Destro's legacy instead. They raised Destro's son, the son raised the grandson, and so on. Then we reached Rikiya Yatsubashi, who decided to lead a new meta-liberation army, one which he has raised in secret. Shoyuta nodded as he already knew that. But now he wondering what to do to deal with the danger. This MLA are no joke. As it turns out, the legal firm representing the Aldera staff and school, where our fearsome Karma once studied, is owned by the Detnerat company, of which Yatsubashi is the CEO. Eraserhead is getting a bad feeling as he was connecting the dots. There is also a tangible financial connection between each Aldera staff member and Detnerat. In other words, every member of staff is a member of this new MLA movement. It's a rather elegant plan actually. Selena scowls. It's visible even under her mask. If they encounter students who have a reasonable chance at heroics, they groom the child to believe in MLA values. Meanwhile, the other students, when taken out of their influence, will feel oppressed when they are suddenly forced to follow public quirk use laws, likely finding their way to the MLA proper. And Aldera is one of many schools across Japan that was operating for the past 20 years. Selena explained. A hollow silence fills the warehouse, the implications settling. Eraserhead is silently praying that Tsukachi's button broke and he was pressing it constantly. How many? Asked Crawler, his face going pale, realizing that they were, in fact, infiltrated for God knows how long without them knowing it. Eraserhead isn't far behind, realizing that there is no longer 2 types of heroes in Japan with a third party, but 3 types with 4th villainous party. The rat will lose his shit. Night Eye is probably doing that right now if Eraserhead is right. The LED will shift their priority list after hearing about this, and the HPSC president will shit herself realizing that Redestro had such influence without them realizing it. Selena grimaced slightly. A red flag. Based on what I could find tracing financial records? 40,000, perhaps more. I can't really get them all even with all my contacts. Eraserhead ran a hand through his hair. Oh, screw being calm, this is a disaster. They must prepare for a bigger war than they thought. The commission was their biggest concern and the prime minister, but this was more important. Are you following me, Eraserhead? He nods. He is getting sick, but he is listening. She slides the file of information to him. From today, you and Nedzu and all of you owe me greatly. You can prove all of these to be MLA followers and drop them off the map quickly, and those who survive you will run to Hokkaido and be declared villains. A good price, no? Selena smirks, he can see it clearly under her mask. What do you want? Tsukachi finally finds his voice. A lot, honestly. But for now, let's say wait for me to give a phone call to cash one of the many favors I just got from you and the Alliance. Nothing illegal, by the way, she said with a wave. Eraserhead decided that teenage girls were monsters with pretty faces. Omake, the second in command. Kurogiri was horrified, and the reason was simple. Deku still remembers that Kurogiri cried in joy and relief when he came back, right? So Kurogiri had to wonder why was he doing it again? Deku was facing his friends and followers with his kids by his side who had much like him, some bags. I have a meeting with the doctor about speaking with people willing to invest in one of his hospitals. You know that criminal masterminds need legal fronts. So I am going now and will be gone for a few days. Deku smiled at them as they looked at the kids in worry. They could still remember the destruction the kids caused when they got into a fight and Deku wasn't there. They would admit they were afraid of the kids. Don't worry, I'm taking my kids. I'll leave it to you, my second in command, Deku said as turned and opened a portal. He warped away along with his kids while the League members sighed in relief. Got it? Melissa and Tamura said in the same time before they blinked and looked at each other skeptically. Huh. I'm the second in command, nerd. I'm also leader of the Vanguard Action Squad. Tamura scoffed. Melissa rolled her eyes. Please, Deku wouldn't trust you with making dinner, much less leading the League, she said with a scoff. Toga jumped between and held her hands. Ladies, we all know I am Deku-kun's second in command. He just loves me. Toga said with grin. F you. I am the second in command. Dabi growled, entering the conversation. No, it's me. Mustard snapped. Are you joking? I am the veteran here, I am the second in command, Nagant said with deadpan. You me right? He knows I follow no one else, so he obviously put me in charge. Stain rolled his eyes. You know what? I know how to settle this. Shinso said, grabbing his scarf. Kurogiri jumped to protect his property as he covered it in mist. No. My bar. They are going to destroy it. The League members started fighting amongst themselves and causing massive destruction. Meanwhile, with Deku and the kids, Mahoro was watching from a large TV with a big smile, enjoying the show with her family and grandparents. So Daddy, who is your second in command? The little girl asked, curious. Yeah, it kinda caused a scene in there, and even though it's fun to watch, I think you should have made it clear. Kota chuckled as he saw his mom Melissa elbow drop his uncle Compress. Deku, who was eating popcorn, smirked. That's the best part, children. I never picked one. I just said that so they would fight each other trying to figure it out. Now we have our own comedic drama reality show that's better than anything you could find on TV. Deku chuckled. Wow. Katsuma sighed as he ate a chocolate bar. On one hand this was entertaining, on the other hand it was wrong. Mahoro smiled widely. That's evil, I love it. I taught you well, my boy. Raijin cackled as he saw Toga strike Tamura with a kick to the balls. The two women just sighed in exasperation. The 1A Rising Stars. Alien Queen, hi guys. Riot and Red, hello. Sugarman, hi. Tailman, hello. Anima, hello. Crow, hello everyone. Shoto, wow, that's what group chats are like. Tentacles, now that's just sad. Pikachu, hey, who put my name like this? Rockstar, me because it's hilarious. Goddess, not nice gyro. Grape Juice entered the group chat. Grape Juice, hello ladies. Goddess, oh no. Rockstar, F. King Explosion Murder, how the hell did you get in here? Froppy, if you are only here to hit on us, I ask you to leave Ribbit. Spider-Man, did you just use a Ribbit in a chat? Froppy, it's a habit, Ribbit. Grape Juice, no, I am here to hang out. King Explosion Murder, okay, neutral face. Uravity? Alien Queen? Invisi Beach, and all. Invisi Beach, our guardian is out of service. King Explosion Murder, but if perv on them once I will find your home. King Explosion Murder, and I blow your grapistus all the way to Vegas. Grape Juice left the group chat. Uravity, Orange. Goddess, OMG. Froppy, OMG. Rockstar, OMG. Alien Queen, OMG. Invisi Beach, L. Riot in Red. Katsuki Bakugo is the man. Pikachu, holy, that was badass as hell. Spider-Man, respect man. Crow, it's amazing how much punch small words could pack. Tentacles, well, that's one way you scare off a problem. Sugarman, and you didn't even need yelling. King Explosion Murder, yelling isn't an option for me. King Explosion Murder, it's a lifestyle. Pikachu, mood. Spider-Man, mood. Alien Queen, yeah, well, jokes aside. Froppy, how about we actually pay you as our anti-grapist bodyguard? Invisi Beach, please? King Explosion Murder, I am doing it for free. Goddess? Rockstar, why the F would you do it for free? Riot in Red, because it's manly. King Explosion Murder, because I am an idiot. Froppy, that makes 0 sense, Ribbit. Riot in Red, dude, that's not being an idiot. Pikachu, doing it for free is being sweet. Sugarman, yeah, trust me, I know sweets. Tentacles, hot thumbs up, light skin tone. Crow, nice thumbs up, light skin tone. King Explosion Murder, no, you don't get it. King Explosion Murder, I am an idiot. King Explosion Murder, my whole childhood after my quirk came in, I was encouraged by all my teachers and classmates to belittle someone who was like my little brother. Froppy, you regret it, Ribbit? King Explosion Murder, every day. King Explosion Murder, I always thought that being a hero meant beating villains and being popular. King Explosion Murder, but after I got to you people made question everything I ever knew. Riot in Red, we did? Spider-Man, that's sweet. King Explosion Murder, look, I suck with emotion, so I'll just say it in text. King Explosion Murder, I always believed in the whole tough guy and top dog shit, that the strong beats the weak and that bullcrap. King Explosion Murder, but you all got special quirks and supposedly top dogs of your schools, yet I was the only idiot in class. Shoto, then you were the only to have crappy teachers, I guess. Pikachu, yeah, my school had a zero crap policy for what you described. Uravity, at least you regret what you did. King Explosion Murder, yeah, and because I was an idiot, that little brother is now a white-haired psychopath with thousands of murders who wants to burn down the country. Crow, revelry in the dark. King Explosion Murder, somehow I lived even though he could have murdered me in the USJ, and I got somehow a second chance to be less of an idiot than before. King Explosion Murder, and if the first step to being a decent human being and hopefully a good hero is by beating up the one perving on my chick classmates, then be it. King Explosion Murder, small steps but steps nonetheless. Riot in Red, that was manly. Pikachu, man, if we knew that getting you to open up is by making you write what you think, then we would have done so way sooner. Froppy, kinda beautiful, Ribbit. Alien Queen, so you had bad teachers? Poor Bakugo. King Explosion Murder, I am 90% sure it was actually an MLA school Pinocchio bot, but I don't have evidence. Spider-Man, oh shit. Crow, revelry in the dark. Tentacles, that's worrisome. Sugarman, yeah, it's disturbing. Goddess, well, Bakugo, the first step to improvement is admitting your faults, and you seem to already move past that, so as your classmates we will help you. Uravity, still surprised Bakugo is actually here and talking. King Explosion Murder, F you cheeks. Uravity, so you basically use me as a soft pillow to sleep on in front of the whole world, and now you want to go this far? Uravity, Smooth Bakugo Smooth. King Explosion Murder. WHAT. Riot in Red, Busted. Spider-Man, LOL. Pikachu, LMAO. Alien Queen, PFT she caught you red-handed. Rockstar, well at least you ain't grape juice. Froppy, and somehow you are less scary and creepy. King Explosion Murder, time out. I did not use you as a pillow. I was knocked out. Rockstar, so you fell asleep on top of Oka? In Vizy Beach, someone is living the dream. Goddess, considering how you two hated each other he started surprising. King Explosion Murder, screw all of you. It was an accident. I would never be attracted to someone who beat me up. Crow, doesn't your mom smack you? And she seemed hot-headed. Sugarman, if girls like men similar to their dads then dudes likes girls similar to their moms. King Explosion Murder, hell. No. King Explosion Murder, one old hag is enough to make me regret my very existence and I don't need another. King Explosion Murder, I really hope that whoever poor bastard Cheeks would date will be satisfied enough to look away from her scary bloodthirsty Cheshire side because it's terrifying. Uravity Hui. I am not that bad. Froppy. Ribbit Ochako-chan, you literally had all might take a step back in the first heroics class when you showed your other side. Rockstar, scary as F. In Vizy Beach, but still kinda cool. Pikachu, I hope you are not like that in bed because whoever your boyfriend is I would say RIP my friend. Uravity Hui. Riot in Red, kinda agree. Tentacles, well if she is that competitive in the field then the civvies are in good hands. Spider-Man, lol I actually feel bad for the villains. King Explosion Murder, I don't. Would be hilarious to see her sending them flying to Uranus or Jupiter. Sugarman, you know I never realized how dangerous zero gravity was at the start but... Tentacles, the possibilities are endless. Tailman, you can literally throw ALLMIGHT to space if you could dodge a punch and that's scary honestly. Froppy, ya never underestimate us girls. Goddess, you wouldn't like the results. Riot in Red, not me. That would be unmanly. King Explosion Murder, me neither, got myascic for the first time in my life by a girl. King Explosion Murder, and almost had my reproduction privileges terminated too. Pikachu, ouch. Shoto, ouch. Riot in Red, ouch. Spider-Man, ouch. Sugarman, ouch. Tailman, ouch. Crow, yikes. Uravity, hee hee. Rockstar, oh. Goddess, sorry but that was a bit funny. In Vizy Beach, she kinda sent you flying. Alien Queen, it was like a comedy show move. Froppy, ribbit but you survived the ordeal. King Explosion Murder, I still feel her fist. King Explosion Murder, I will get my revenge somehow, I just need to find a way that doesn't involve going low. Spider-Man, unless you are planning to be her new boyfriend I can't think of any way to get revenge. Riot in Red, you would be an amazing couple. Uravity, you mean disastrous, imagine us getting into an argument in class. Crow I can't. Froppy why ribbit? Tentacles, because there would be no class left. Pikachu, LOL. Spider-Man, poor sensei will be in a nightmare if you guys ended up together. Uravity, hell no. King Explosion Murder, F no. King Explosion Murder, I am into blondes. Pikachu, so how about the horny girl from 1B? Pun intended. King Explosion Murder, who? Goddess, he means a blonde girl, American with bad Japanese, you beat up guys that picked on her 4 days ago remember? Alien Queen, yeah that was sweet. Rockstar, and the guys almost peed themselves when you threatened to blow up their manhoods, hilarious. King Explosion Murder, OH. The big-eyed blonde chick with horns? King Explosion Murder, F your puns Pikachu. Pikachu, hey. Rockstar, agreed. Tentacles, she seemed happy someone stood up for her. King Explosion Murder, I passed by and the idiots brought up bad memories. King Explosion Murder, I can't punch my younger self in the face so I had to come up with something. Goddess, whatever the case she was thankful for your help. Froppy, and Shiozaki-san too. King Explosion Murder, who? Riot in Red, a girl with vines for hair man. Spider-Man, the fact that you can't remember names is sad. King Explosion Murder, my grades are still better than yours. Pikachu, ouch. That hurts. Froppy, yeah you helped her when some guys picked on her for her religious faith and she never got to say thank you. King Explosion Murder, nah I got neighbor that has the same problem no big deal. In Vizy Beach, it's nice to know that the only problem in class is Mineta and that is being handled. Alien Queen, yeah Dadzawa seriously needs some rest if you ask me. Uravity, Dadzawa? In Vizy Beach, oh I am adopting the name. King Explosion Murder, I am a 1,000,000% sure he would strangle you for calling him that in public. Shoto, same? Pikachu, yeah, our teacher is kinda scary. Spider-Man, I mean he could make you straighten up like a rod with just a glare. Shoto, it's a quirk, I am sure of it. Uravity, he's sweet in his way. Just stern, but he cares for all of us. Rockstar, yeah, I mean in the USJ he charged a loan to what people would call a certain death to save our asses. In Vizy Beach, and you remember how he asked us one by one if we need sessions with Hound Dog, and even though he was the one to get beaten up he has asked us if we were fine? Riot in Red, yeah, our teacher is super cool. Did you see some of his fighting videos from the internet? He is a beast. Spider-Man, I wish I could fight with my tape like he does with his scarf. In Vizy Beach, all even villains think he is cool. Froppy? In Vizy Beach, the purple-haired one from the USJ had an identical scarf to Sensei, so definitely a fan. Shoto. How old is Sensei and how old is that guy? Uravity, oh no. King Explosion Murder, F. Shoto. Any chance it's a secret love child? Pikachu, what? Crow, doubtful since our teacher doesn't seem interested in relationships. Tailman, but you could never know. Rockstar, Sensei is 31 and the dude you are talking about is 16, so how the F would that work? Shoto, maybe a cousin? Froppy, more possible ribbit. King Explosion Murder, alright, F this type of talk, skip the whole relationship or I'm leaving. Riot in Red, not a fan of this talks, are you? King Explosion Murder, nah, I'd rather say too early for me, I am a wait until I'm in 20s or so. King Explosion Murder, got a career to focus on first. Shoto, we all do. Alien Queen, hey. Having a loving and supportive partner is important for a career. Spider-Man, you just want to set people up starting with Bakugo. King Explosion Murder, hell no, if I let her out of my sight she will build me harem just to spite me for not being interested in girls. Alien Queen, honestly you do have the looks for having one. King Explosion Murder, cheeks. Kill me. Uravity, and screw my career over? Hello, no. Just go to some shady part of town and let some idiot kill you. Goddess, Uraraka. Uravity, what? He has enough self-respect to not do it. King Explosion Murder, what's the shittiest part of town? Pikachu. Damn, does girls scare you this much? Riot in Red, come on man, a big guy like you shouldn't be afraid of Mina teasing him. Alien Queen, oh come on Bakugo, I am pretty sure I can find a couple girls that likes you. Alien Queen, the new version of you is nice. In your own way and you are pretty good looking. And Jack too. King Explosion Murder, please, the self-proclaimed Demon King and Villain Emperor didn't build himself a harem of overly deadly and hot chicks. King Explosion Murder, the day he does I will personally ask you to set me up with multiple chicks. Rockstar, Bakugo? Uravity, you might want to back off from that gamble while you still can. Goddess, yes, Karma seems charismatic enough to make multiple women fall for him. King Explosion Murder, nah, he wouldn't handle it. Alien Queen, deal Blondie? And I will be the mistress. In Vizy Beach, it was nice knowing you Bakugo. Shoto, what's harem because I got lost in the CNV. Pikachu. Poor guy. Riot in Red. Yeah. Spider-Man. Agreed. Sugarman, holy sugar. Tailman, Squizzle Sticks fearful face. Crow yikes. Froppy, ribbit that's sad. King Explosion Murder. F Endeavor? Shoto, say it again. Makes me happy. Really happy. King Explosion Murder, F Endeavor. Shoto, yes. Alien Queen. AHAREM is where multiple women are interested in the same man but instead of fighting they can share. Shoto, that's a thing. King Explosion Murder. Rare because women suck at sharing. Froppy, ribbit yes we do. Uravity, yeah pretty sure Mina is just messing Shoto-kun. Shoto, is she? Alien Queen, nope. I'm serious. King Explosion Murder. If she wins the bet, I give all of my All Might merch to Shitty Hair, I give all of my video games to Pikachu, all of my manga goes to Tape for Brains and my savings goes to Cheeks. King Explosion Murder, because I will blow my own head off before she gets me. Alien Queen, hey. You didn't leave Lou anything. And I was with you in the cavalry battle. King Explosion Murder. You can have my book of cooking recipes if you want, I don't have things girls would like. Alien Queen, oh my. Froppy, ribbit you can cook Bakugo-chan? That's surprising. King Explosion Murder. I have hobbies that doesn't involve violence and blowing up. King Explosion Murder. I learned cooking to spite my old hag but now I can somehow cook American, Mexican, Italian, Russian and for some reason Indian foods. Alien Queen, Oh my. Froppy, if you win the bet, can I join Mina-chan? Alien Queen, by all means yes you can. Riot in Red, I know someone that makes false IDs if you wish Bakubro. King Explosion Murder, get him on standby just in case the demon nerd actually grew a pair around women. Shoto, can I be your best in your multiple weddings Bakugo? King Explosion Murder. WHATTHEFUCK. Riot in Red, hey. I am his first friend so I'll be his best man. Spider-Man, no. He trusted me to pull him to safety in the cavalry battle so I should be his best man. Pikachu, nah, I would do better than you guys so I should be the one. King Explosion Murder, you are all nuts. King Explosion Murder left the group chat. Uravity, you freaked him out Mina. Rockstar, holy girl you scared the F out him. Invisi Beach, funny as heck. Goddess, but you could have went to a different type of prank. Froppy, that was a prank Mina-chan? Alien Queen, that's the fun part. I'm serious. I wasn't kidding when I said he made himself popular in the last month after the USJ with his new attitude. Riot in Red, R.I.P. Bakubro. Pikachu, amen. Spider-Man, amen. Crow, amen. Tentacles, amen. Sugarman, amen. Tailman, amen. Okay. Hypnosis said with a sigh when they left the abandoned warehouse. He looked uncomfortable, which was fair considering the revaluations about Pinocchio's army. I'm gonna be honest, I thought that my foster parents were the definition of irredeemable evil, but that long-nosed idiot has just made them look like saints in comparison. He has a tendency to do that to people. Melissa scoffed. Which is why I decided to speak about Mightless origins, to give them a reason to hate him. Well, another one, Melissa said with a grimace. Deku seemed on the verge of panicking when we uncovered the extent of Redestro's influence on Japan. It's over 40,000 people for the love of Deku. Yeah, it's actually terrifying. How did Long-Nosed amass so many men under everyone's nose, pun intended, like this? I mean, it's not like you can gather this many people without drawing suspicions. Toga was confused, which was understandable. Well, you heard the thing about schools, right? Well, to sum up those schools, Long-Nose owns many schools. Just like the president, he indoctrinated kids from early age to his cause and did that for quite a while. 20 years is a long time and someone can do so much with it. Melissa didn't like it. It was always children that fall victims to these schemes. You have a point. Just shit. Hypnosis said while shaking his head. Boss was right, this country could just burn to ash for all I care. Building it from nothing sounds much easier, honestly. And still can't believe that Boss technically suffered in middle school because of Pinocchio. I really wish I could stab him a few times and leave him to bleed out slowly. Toga growled as glared ahead of her with dark look in her ember eyes. If Melissa is reading her mood correctly, this is no exaggeration. She is far more of a psychopath than usual when angry. So yeah, in short, Melissa decided to keep talking. Japan is a mess and we are trying to make it less of mess than what it is right now, which is hard since everyone, both heroes and villains, are tearing their own apart just like each other. It's a one huge mess and somehow our boss is the most sane out of everyone. Hypnosis chuckled at the irony. So basically our boss, who commits mass murders when peeved and waged war on the government and reached a new level of animal abuse with his experiments and is the #1 villain, is basically the most sane. Holy shit. Hypnosis seemed very amused, not that she blamed. It was a dark irony of all ironies. Deku hates the current society. He wanted to end it because at this point it's too messed up to repair it, so the best option is controlled demolition and then rebuilding it from the ground up. Melissa said, making sure to speak in the past. But after Eri-chan? Deku changed his mind, he wants to repair it. Have a new symbol of peace to counter him, the symbol of evil, and together keep the country afloat and under control. Both of them keeping their sides under supervision and leading them. Melissa explained. Cool, sounds like something from a comic, but he still wants destruction from what I observed. And killing, lots of killing and blood. Toga said, imagining Deku standing on a mountain of corpses, topless and covered head to toe in his enemy's blood. It made her salivate with a dreamy expression, causing the other two to sweat drop. And I can't wait to see Deku laugh on the throne made of bones of the Hero Public Safety Commission President and Prime Minister, along with their closest members in the burned out and destroyed shell of their former headquarters. She added, with a bit of melodramatic exaggeration. But honestly, she could imagine the scene and it sounded hot as hell. Pun intended, of course. We all know our boss is into that type of overdramatic shit, and I hope he lets me be his right-hand man only if I have a personal grudge against those idiots. Hypnosis smirked, imagining himself shooting the begging president in the face over and over again with his boss resurrecting her over and over again. Would be glorious. Awesome. Toga said with a grin. So if he ends up becoming the post-apocalyptic warlord at the ruins of the modern world, can we be his devotees? Hypnosis chuckled at that, imagining the scene. Oh boy, someone would be living the dream, a messed up and completely psychotic dream, but a dream nonetheless. It depends. Melissa rolled her eyes. Are you going to pull together this whole thing like you said after roping all of us in, or are you going to backstab all of us and take him for yourself? Melissa asked with a smile. Toga looked at her insulted. Oh no. I'm sticking to my word. And he will agree, if only to stop us from going at each other's throats for him? Toga trailed off as an idea came to her and she smiled deviantly. You got a plan, didn't you? Melissa asked with smirk. In the background, Shinso gulped and sent a quick prayer that his boss will survive whatever this is about. After a bit they reach an alleyway where Melissa hid some equipment and the contact device to talk with Kurogiri. Once she makes sure that the heroes didn't put anything dangerous like localizer or something similar in the merch, Kurogiri warped them back to the base. Just to find Deku and Red both looking like shit, bruised and beaten up like death befell on them or something. Meetings always go wrong with Deku, don't they? When Deku was called by Red for a meeting, he summoned Hypnosis to go with Melissa instead of him. He was honestly good for ending conflicts quickly. So the three went to investigate one Razor's safe houses while Deku went to meet with the redhead. It was gonna be their first meeting face to face. Yeah, sure, they texted from time to time, but that was about it. The redhead was honestly a good informant and someone he trusted even if they have yet to meet in person. It was just instinct, probably he bonded with her over quirklessness. It was definitely something hard in this society, and those who doesn't take their lives grow up to be fearless. He reached the location to find his probably friend I inside an old warehouse wearing a hoodie and torn jeans with boots. Her gun and knife were displayed, probably to scare off any jackasses who wanted to have some late-night fun with a lonely girl. Her red hair was loosely hanging off and fully displayed. It was very long. It was like Nijire Hato level long but without the spirals in it. The color was captivating. Just like his own eyes after he got his quirk. He walked to her in his own hoodie. He didn't want to take the suit to not be recognized by anyone. He wasn't interested in killing some heroes that tried to catch him to steal the glory and all that shit. Deku waved to her and she noticed him and waved back with a smile. Hello, Rika-san. It is nice to finally meet you face to face. You are prettier than what Uraraka-san told me, but then again that was a while ago. Deku said gently. He noticed her blush. He wasn't dumb. Giving compliments is a good way to make people relax to you. Nice to meet you too. And thanks, but I am not that good looking. Red said with wave. Yeah, he could remember being like that too. Nonsense, you are pretty, but we can talk about it later. His face turned serious. You said there is something you need to tell me? That it wasn't something to be discussed in the phone? Red sighed. Yeah. Well, when we did the attack on Pinocchio, somehow someone stole Overhaul's notes and the things from his computer. And I mean everything. Red said worried. Oh boy. Deku thought. This was a huge problem. He hates Kai Chizaki, but at least he was somewhat chill with Mightless. But if the MLA or some other party heard of this, and hot the formula for QSB and how to do quirk implantation, he doesn't want to think of what could happen. And that's not all. Quirk suppressing bullets were only one of the things he did. He worked on quirk enhancers, triggers, quirk weakeners, and medicines that nurtured the quirks and quirk factors. Shit, being a leader really got me ton of info. Red looked tired and so done. Deku sympathized. His headache just increased 10 times fold. Any idea who did it? Deku decided to ask F. If the other elites got this, it would be a disaster. Plus there is the risk of someone selling this info in the black market. The implications will make Mizuki peace himself. Nope, she said with a pop. But both Mightless and Overhaul are losing their over it. And the worst is that it's the understand and organized version, not the deranged psycho writings of a madman, so we can't depend on the thief not getting it. Red groaned miserably. Deku decided to hit the brakes on that one. You mean that his notes when I took them around a year ago that looked like the writings of a madman and had my two scientists awake for almost a week was his way of saying F you to those who takes his notes? Deku really wants to punch Kai Chizaki in the face right now. Yeah, and you have to admit it's kinda smart. But the problem is that whoever this is, they knew how to get the real notes, and the problem in that problem is that everyone that remotely knew how to get the research is innocent. Heck, it must be an outsider, but it's impossible. Red looked as lost as he was. Deku put a hand on his chin and started thinking of all the possibilities. Red was fascinated by how quickly he spoke. She caught few sentences and was amazed. After a minute he broke out of his long and hard thinking. A group with stealth skills and the ability to read minds and possibly alter memories so those who knew wouldn't remember telling anyone. Also someone with technology-related quirk to bypass the security cameras and hack Overhaul's computer. I will try to find villains with such quirks and you keep me updated. Deku sighed in exhaustion. He was getting too tired for this shit. Red looked as done as he was. Good to know he wasn't the only one like that. Yeah, I will. Thanks a lot. Mightless sent me to ask you for help because of how smart you are and because you know how dangerous that stuff is and what disasters it could cause. Red explained. So Mightless had that much common sense? Good to know she was someone to be negotiated with. Alright, that makes sense. I don't want to imagine what the HPSC president or the prime minister would cause if they got their hands on this research. Deku really doesn't want to imagine the amount of disasters that would come from that particular scenario. Bang. Any further conversation was interrupted as Deku was shot in the arm by something. A red syringe-like bullet that was stuck out of his arm. The two looked at each other before sighing. Red offered him a combat knife that was a spare she brought with her. He took it but politely declined the gun. Not his style. People entered the warehouse, 50 or so. Mutants, all of them with no exceptions. SP? Was it planned or just a stroke of bad luck? Not that it mattered much, they were all going to die. I guess I get the honor of fighting side by side with the Green Rabbit. Red said with grin as she loaded her gun. Deku smiled malevolently at that. Oh, how he missed that. The old times were definitely sweet. Yeah, and I am as honored, Rika-san. Deku said as gripped his blade ready for the fight to come. The two of them charged at the mutants who yelled battle cries. It wasn't a fight, it was a harvest. And that's how it happened. Deku said with nervous chuckle as he looked at his daughter nervously as she glared at him with a pout. Her angry expression softened as she hugged him. I'm happy you are fine, Papa. Please be careful. Eri said while yawning. She was woken by Grandpa Giri to heal her Papa after he was attacked by mean ISP members that used Overjerk's bullets. She hated those bullets, they hurt people and her Papa. She wished they were to be gone from this world. Deku hugged her with a smile. I will be, honey, I promise. Deku said with a smile. Eri nodded her head. She loved him so much. So now the Elite Four got access to this bullets. Fantastic. Dabi drawled as he was sitting on one of the bean chairs. Still happy that you're fine, boss. And you beat all those guys after being shot? Badass. Mustard was amazed. Spinner nodded his head. Of course our great leader still wins after losing his quirk. He is still as sharp as ever. The lizard said proudly. So what did you guys speak about? Melissa asked curious. Deku grimaced at that. Yeah. Well, when the QLF did the attack on Pinocchio, somehow someone stole Overhaul's notes and the things from his computer. And I mean everything from his research. Red said worried. Oh boy. Everyone looked at the leader in shock. They know how dangerous the stuff on that idiot's research is. If someone like the HPSC or the Gov got this stuff, it will be a disaster. They hate Kai Chizaki, all of them with no exceptions. But at least he was somewhat chill with Mightless now. But if the MLA or some other party heard of this, and got the formula for QSB and how to do quirk implantation, they don't want to think of what could happen. They were the only ones to posse's Nomus and they were responsible with them. But the other psychos isn't, and that's the problem. And that's not all. Quirk-suppressing bullets were only one of the things he did. He worked on quirk enhancers, triggers, quirk weakeners and medicines that nurtured the quirks and quirk factors. Deku sighed. He looked tired and it was obvious why. Just another problem on top of the original problem, and their one is probably worse. Any idea who did it? Tamura asked carefully. If the other elites got this, it would be a disaster. Plus there is the risk of someone selling this info in the black market. The implications will make Mizuki peas himself. Nope. Deku said with a pop. But both Mightless and Overhaul are losing their over this. And the worst is that it's the understandable and organized version, not the deranged psycho writings of a madman, so we can't depend on the thief not getting what's written in there. Deku added grimly. Melissa decided to hit the brakes on that one. Her eye twitching violently. You mean that his notes when I took them around a year ago that looked like the writings of a madman? And had me and Dr. Evil awake for almost a week was his way of saying F you to those who takes his notes? She really wants to punch Kai Chizaki in the face right now. Well, more than before anyways. Yeah, and you have to admit it's kinda smart. But the problem is that whoever this is, they knew how to get the real notes, and the problem in that problem is that everyone that remotely knew how to get the research is innocent. Heck, it must be an outsider, but I can't think of a group that could pull this off. Deku groaned. I think we should inform Nedzu and the U.A of this development in the circumstances and ask for their help to track down the thieves. Compress suggested and Deku nodded. He was too tired for this shit. Melissa and Katsuma. Melissa sighed as she was working on her latest invention. It was a device that resembled quirk-suppressing cuffs but different in mechanism. She liked her job, or at least won them. She was Deku's personal contact with the Vigilante Alliance. She was the League's sole support engineer and a quirk scientist that for Deku on studying and modifying quirks. Deku trusted her with multiple important jobs and she won't disappoint him. He had a lot of work and if she could lift some of his burdens she happily will. She felt a tug at her pants and she looked down in confusion. Her confused expression turned cheerful when she saw that it was just Katsuma-kun. She loved the little boy. He was adorable and polite. "Oh hello Katsuma-kun. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be playing with your siblings or something?" Melissa asked with smile as she looked at the nervous little boy. Katsuma fidgeted in his place for a bit before looking at Melissa hopefully. "Mom?" He started nervously. Her heart melted when he called her that. Felt so nice. "Could you please teach me how to build gadgets and support equipment like you?" Katsuma asked politely. Melissa blinked at that in surprise. That wasn't something she expected to be asked. But even though she was happy she still had to ask for the reason. "I don't mind sweetie, but why the sudden interest?" Melissa asked gently. "Well, it started when..." The boy started his explanation. "Oh, he actually enjoyed the tour in the best hero school in Japan, arguably the world, and that believes in helping those in need without the need for a license. That being a hero isn't having a costume and a license. How it's a concept and most people forget that these days." He explained that he didn't like that. That this concept needs to be restored. He explained that he wants to find those who has the heart of a hero but wasn't given the chance and help them. He wanted to help those who couldn't be heroes alone. There are a lot of people like that and he will help them be good heroes and vigilantes. And for that he would need to know how to build support items to teach it to others for how important it was in the field. Melissa smiled as she patted the boy on the head. "Alright then. Let's start with something simple then," Melissa said as she grabbed some tools. Circuits seemed like something easy enough for a head start. Melissa said as she handed the smiling boy some tools. "Thank you, Mom." Katsuma said with a big smile as he grabbed the tools and started following the instructions carefully. Later. "Hey Melissa, have you seen Katsuma? I'm looking for..." Deku trailed off when he opened the door to Melissa's personal and only lab in the base just to see an adorable sight. Melissa and Katsuma were fast asleep on the chairs leaning on the table where they were probably working together with Melissa pulling the boy close to her. The scene was the definition of precious as Katsuma was leaning on the blonde scientist like he was subconsciously enjoying the contact and considering that before he only had father figures in his life it made sense. Deku smiled to himself and shook his head. Better not wake them up. The white-haired mastermind used one of his quirks and moved the pair into a close couch without waking them up. They even in their sleep snuggled on the couch where Melissa was hugging the little boy while he was using her as a soft pillow to sleep on. Both were smiling happily and peacefully and it made Deku smile in return. He put a blanket on the two of them and then left them in peace but not before taking a picture for himself because it was just adorable. This is what he fights to protect. The top U.A allied heroes began to gather up in the UA 2 hours before the meeting started. It was the morning after the meeting. There was just too much to discuss to be delayed. The matter was serious. Somehow, truly a miracle vultures didn't notice the fact. Eraserhead and All Might ended up acting as the welcome committee. Although, to be honest, All Might was the one doing the greetings. Eraserhead was just standing there menacingly. He is good at standing there menacingly. Very good. Headshot came first in his civilian ninja uniform because of course he did. Eraserhead has no idea why this guy is like that. Ninja during work, ninja off work. He was an extremely competent hero, no questions asked, and one of the noblest, and Eraserhead will personally vouch for it, but he is also a major ninja fan. Way too major in Shota Aizawa's humble opinion. Then we have Crust next to Headshot, straight from the Northern Battle Group. And as painfully enthusiastic as All Might, and that is just a horror. Eraserhead was surprised he didn't straight up ask the #1 hero for an autograph. Despite having like 20 of those already. Ugh, he isn't getting paid enough for this shit. Best Genius somehow decided to not come fashionably late, and for F's sake, who comes always late? In another world. A tall man with gravity-defying silver hair and a mask that covered his chin, mouth and nose, with a headband covering his left eye, sneezed suddenly. "Are you okay, Kakashi-sensei?" A pink-haired girl around 13 asked in concern. The man gave an eye smile. "Oh yes, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. Someone must be talking about you." A blonde boy in an ugly orange jumpsuit said with a snicker. "Probably complaining about his habit of being late." A raven-haired boy said with a scoff. "Hey, I am not late." That got the trio to look at him skeptically. "I am fashionably late." That got them to face fault. "We hate you, Kakashi/Kakashi-sensei/sensei." The trio said in unison. Ah, the sound of Team World. How sweet. The man said with a chuckle. Back in this world. And instead comes ahead of time, shockingly but pleasant type of shockingly. He was wearing his standard clothes. One day Shoyuta will get to see what that man's chin looks like, but it's clearly not this day. Pity. Maruko was next to come. She looked hostile, but then again, when didn't she look hostile? She was dressed in a civilian wear with blue jeans and a sweater with a hat. Probably to hide her rabbit features. She gives them a thumbs up when coming in and challenges All Might for a friendly spar despite losing multiple times now. Shoyuta will never understand the thrill of battle. This woman is a junkie of honestly. Ryukyu is next to follow, also in casual wear. Probably to not cause fans to follow her around. She smiles RT the two of them and gives small greetings. Then she went inside. Shoyuta was honestly surprised she didn't come with Maruko together. The two were friends and close ones at that. Ms. Joke came alone as expected. Wearing her typical orange bandana and an irritatingly wide and cute smile. All Might. How lovely to see you. Ms. Joke announced happily as she shook his hand cheerfully. All Might smiled back at her enthusiasm. Lovely to see you too, Joke. All Might smiled as he held her hand. Ms. Joke, All Might. Don't forget it. Shoyuta said menacingly before he could stop himself. Sue him. Ms. Joke smiled at him. Aizawa, marry me? She said like usual. Not losing enthusiasm at all from the previous times. No, Aizawa stated flatly. They are underground heroes. They keep their lives secret. No is a much more secretive way of saying I can't marry you the second time. Stop saying that, it's not even funny, god damn it. She laughed and entered the room after that. Shoyuta Aizawa didn't question his previous life choices from that, but he is pretty close to doing that. Knuckleduster heard enough about how ironclad Nedza's guarantees of safety are and decided to come in person. He is old and as quirkless as ever. Wouldn't make his fists any less deadly. He gave the two of them small nods and headed inside. Hawks was last to arrive, wearing a laid-back smile while eating from a bucket of chicken nuggets from KFC. Wasn't he a bird though? Isn't that weird for him? The former commissioned slave gave them a salute with a greetings and went into the room obviously in a good mood. Then again, ever since he was supported by the U.A and started getting paid personally without the commission choking him financially, he stealed in peace. Shoyuta would swear the guy secretly worshipped karma since the HPSC HQM's destruction. Not that anyone would blame him. Carla got quite the fanbase after that. The two of them did the same thing and entered the room. They had a very long meeting and a lot of things to talk about today. A lot of things. The top heroes, Ms. Joke, Sir Night Eye, Detective Tsukachi, Knuckleduster, David Shield, Nedzu, All Might and Eraserhead. All of them now are present. Shoyuta decided to start the meeting by speaking about their informant first, and he explained the situation of hurt favors to everyone. To say he least, they didn't like it. It's not getting good at all. How did he come from Redestro is a jackass that should be punched to next week to Redestro is a country-level threat that should be treated seriously after one meeting. Selena Gomez was easily a slave driver now, she just got them indebted to her way too much for comfort. Even before tonight, and the fact that she knew Tensei's murderer gave them as much info on the Elite Four minus QLF is scary, and now she caught Redestro's resources. Nedza never achieved that. So to sum up, Selena Gomez has a lot of favors to cash and she seems to be super friendly with Karma if she was selling him merch so casually, so better be careful. Everyone seemed very displeased but accepted the situation. She was an important informant. They couldn't lose her no matter the cost. Regretful. Sir Night Eye replied while cleaning his glasses. Do you have any idea on who this Selena Gomez might really be? She is absolutely paranoid when it comes to covering her tracks. Eraserhead said with sigh. He and Crawler tried, but this girl was a ghost. Which is probably understandable when you have no one else to relate to in this messed up country. I'm surprised she didn't just flee from Japan. There are way less dangerous places out there. Understatement of the century. The US is far more stable and safe from Japan right now. It would have been easier to cash some money and run there, but Eraserhead won't judge. Maybe the girl has loose ends or some goal. May revenge on Redestro for some reason? So no leads? David asked politely. But Sir looks waiting impatiently for the answer. Absolutely none. Nedza confirmed. All we know is that she was in an orphanage, was good at catching info in the streets and hates the Elite Four. Until a few days ago, we barely knew that there was a real threat while she had this much intel. Oh, and she is a major hero fan on the level of Karma, which isn't really all that unique. Shoyuta himself might have a poster or two in his room, not that he will ever admit to that publicly. And Emmy is nice enough not to. How do you even start investigating someone like that? Tsukachi sighed in exasperation. I thought that you, as an underground hero, would know something about that. Sir Knight, I said coldly. Shoyuta activated his quirk on instant with his scarf floating menacingly. Stop. All Might intervened before Eraserhead could retaliate. Or attack. This is really no time for infighting. We have enough problems as it is. They both agreed to that without a word. Well, can we please get on the subject instead of the informant? She doesn't seem to be a threat, so we can ignore her presence for now. We need to set our priorities straight, Best Jeanist said calmly. There was nods around the room. Everyone agreed with the number 4 hero. They had more important matters to attend to. Well, I guess we can start from scratch. And say what Gomez told us. Nedza started as he was standing beside the projector. Can we hit the brakes just for a second to be amused by the fake name? Because I find the name hilarious. Hawks, the laid-back person, said while taking another bit of, where the hell did he get that cheesecake from? Yeah, I admit it's kind of funny. Not many people watch pre-Quirk era movies these days. Maruko shrugged. Ryukyu besides her giggled into her hand. Although said movies are more entertaining than what we have these days, Best Jeanist mused loudly. Especially the ninja and samurai movies. Masterpieces honestly, Ed Shot admitted with a shrug. Sir Knight I coughed into his fist, gaining everyone's attention. Well, back on the matter. Selena decided to start her presentation by giving us some enlightening information about Redestro's backstory. Eraserhead's eye twitched at that. You could call it that. He was nothing but snotty-nosed brat who had everything he wanted and was raised to be an idiot. What's special about it except that he was the descendant of some idiot? Origins? What would make that F so special? He is just destroy wannabe idiot with too much money and a strong quirk. Maruko despised Redestro as much as Mightless. Not that anyone would disagree. He was a scumbag on a level worse than the symbol of evil, the old one, because shockingly for all his crimes, the boogeyman never had a quirkiest view on the world or had a particular dislike to quirkless people. Probably because he lived in the dawn of quirks, but that was a discussion for later. Because Rikiya Yatsubashi is a descendant of Destro, not just a fanboy. Nedzu explained calmly, motioning to the projector that showed Redestro and Destro. That shocked them greatly. They looked at each other. Hawk seemed to get a bit more serious at that. Took up the villain name of Redestro and decided to make some major changes. He has both a very powerful quirk and an ideology according to which quirks were the defining feature of someone, and the stronger your quirk the better you are. That got everyone in the room to scowl as Night Eye spoke. Night Eye frowned slightly. With him that might be a huge scowl as well. With those whom are quirkless to be worthless and not worth existing. According to him, I say. It's obvious he wasn't happy to even repeat that. He was a graduate of UA. Quirk supremacy is one of the things he was taught to despise. I think speak for all of us when I say that Long Nose is an idiot and that I want a cut of his nose and shove it down his throat. Hawks commented offhandedly while stuffing his mouth with, where the F did those cupcakes? That earned some nods in the room. They couldn't agree more, and this information was somewhat useful, if only that now they know a bit more about their enemy. I think I can see why he doesn't get along with QLF. Mightless must dislike him. Ed Shot sighed. And she was right, no one had the right to say they were better from a birth factor like quirks, they were born equals. She doesn't. She despises him for being the direct reason for the death of her 5-year-old son. Nedza said calmly. That shocked everyone, even the old knuckle duster seemed startled by that information. I'm sorry, what? Ms. Joke wasn't smiling. So you could expect her to murder Redestro if given the chance. Eraserhead smiled faintly under his scarf. Sonava Beach. Maruko tapped her foot on the ground extra hard. The floor cracked slightly. Nedza didn't mind. It's understandable for women to be more sympathetic and emotional. Not that the men weren't affected. They just had a bit more control and stuck to murderous glares. All Might looked the most livid in the room, and shockingly he didn't buff up while swearing to punch Redestro to Miami or Los Angeles. Which, all things considered, was pretty villainous even for Karma's standards. Nedzu added. The projector showed a picture of a black-haired woman in her 20s holding a small infant in an All Might onesie, both smiling to the camera happily. Now that's something to bring up the mood. Hawks smiled warmly at the picture. It seemed to raise the spirits in the room. Eraserhead felt sorry for them. Besides the first picture, another picture, that one showed Mightless glaring hatefully at the camera. It was probably caught from some street or so, but the glare was still effective. Yikes. That chick has some serious hate in there. Knuckle Duster said with a frown. That glare was filled with more hate than he was comfortable with. Let me introduce you all to Makoto Shinimaru, a previous quirkless, an orphan, a former accountant and a formal mother. And our nemesis Mightless. Nezu announced. That made Hawks choke. I'm sorry but... The winged hero motioned to the two pictures and blinked. You are telling me they are the same person? Night Eye nodded grimly. Yes. I'm afraid so, he said with a sigh. If that woman? Knuckle Duster pointed to the woman with the child with a scowl. Is that woman? He pointed at Mightless' hateful snarling face. Then she obviously had a lot of reasons to snap. No one disagreed with that. You don't turn from a normal person to villainy on the swing of moods. No, someone is pushed there. This is unfashionable? Best Genus sighed. Edshot agreed with a nod. Ryukyu was looking at the small kid sadly with Ms. Joke looking heartbroken. Maruko was tapping her foot on the ground. Knuckle Duster was unreadable. Hawks was still eating but his good mood was no more and All Might looked ready to storm Daika City and single-handedly fight the MLA. Nedza decided to restart the conversation. Alright, let's start. Mightless, also previously known as Makoto Shinimaru, leader of the Quirkless Liberation Front. She lost her parents at the age of 10 after they died in a villain attack. Lived in an orphanage until she was of age. Nobody wanted to adopt a Quirkless. Hawks groaned at that. This country is such a shitty place to live in. Nobody could argue with him. Because regrettably they agreed. She was a law-obedient woman after she was kicked out of the orphanage. Got a job in a bank. And worked her hardest but had the bad habit of drinking her frustrations away. Everyone sighed knowing where this was going. They looked at the small boy with pity. So she was having a baby after working for a whole year and lived alone? Had a son that she named Nawaki Shinimaru because, well, she doesn't know his father. She raised him herself and worked her hardest. I asked neighbors who still remembered Makoto. They said that she was a nice woman who wouldn't kick a puppy, and her son was a living sunshine even though he was quirkless. Nice to all and all kids still were his friends despite being quirkless. So to sum up, a very happy family of two. The reactions were mixed to that, some pity, anger, sadness and frustration all mixed up. Her son, Nawaki, loved heroes and wished to be one. He idolized All Might so much and had a lot of merch. All Might flinched. No one commented but gave sympathetic looks. The man's desire to protect others was second to none, he probably torn now. Then one day her home was robbed by some thieves who somehow knew that she owns the bank account codes for many of her clients and wanted to steal them. From Detronat, which her bank worked with closely, someone ordered to rat her out to said villain gang. Redestro? Hawks grumbled. To hell and back then to hell again? Knuckle Duster sighed. So she awakened Laserdisc in self-defense while desperately trying to protect her child but was still shot along with her beloved son. She survived, her son didn't. So she took the name Mightless as some play on the name of her child's idol and swore revenge on those who hurt the quirkless like her and Nawaki. Nezu explained. All Might just stood up. Walked out of the room with a complicated expression. Slammed the door behind him, then his muffled screams could be heard. More furious than he was in a long time. Nezu was sure that if given the chance, All Might would United States of smash Redestro and pass it as accident. The dog bear mouse will happily cover it up. That's honestly the closest case to Izuku Midoriya, or as you know him, Karma. That got everyone's attention. The projector screen showed a picture of a 12-years-old happy Izuku. Ms. Joke and Hawks cooed at that. The projector showed a second picture of the villainous Izuku smirking at the camera from the footage of the HPSCHQ attack. That caused everyone to flinch at the parallels between the two kids. F this country? Nobody disagreed with the growling rabbit woman. She looked ready to murder someone. In fact, they all were. You knew about his origins before he made it public? Edshot asked, curious and surprised. He wasn't the only one. Yes, but we couldn't fully confirm it, I'm afraid. The boy was extremely good at covering his tracks and hiding his identity. Tsukachi sighed in exhaustion. But how did you exactly find out about him? Ms. Joke asked, curious. Tsukachi gave her a notebook. An old one. He wrote this when he was 10, please read a bit and pass it. No need to describe their surprise and anxiety after few pages. You said he wrote this when 10? Hawks looked uncomfortable. That was understandable, those notebooks, the old ones, were a nice few pages long on how to kill each hero in there. You could guess how good Karma must be right now since it has been almost 6 years since then. Continuing the subject. Nedza says. He was the only person other than Thunderbolt against which Karma and his friends used lethal force. Karma didn't appear to be particularly interested in his old bully. After all, his old bully was among the students that were to be teleported elsewhere. But my theory is that when said bully attacked him, he decided to make him drink from the same glass and humiliate him. So he wasn't in the USJ for revenge, but a professional purpose as a villain. Best Jeanist summarized. Correct. The principal nodded. What do we know about him? Crust asked grimly. It will be outdated news, but this might still be helpful. A few things. Nedza replied with a bitter smile. He was, if you exclude his quirklessness, a prime hero material. A student he knew described him as a very intelligent and extremely kind child, almost to the point of habitual self-sacrifice, Nedzu explained. Eraserhead is 99% sure that those aren't the words that Bakugo used. Or at least without swearing, his student was getting harder to predict recently, but in a good way. When he was 7 years old, he almost died saving another child from being run over by a car. When asked why he did that, he apparently replied that he doesn't know, his body just moved on his own. That surprised everyone. All Might entered the room just to hear that part. He looked more torn than before. Somehow. He looked at the two pictures before he slumped into his seat. Eraserhead didn't think the day would come where he would feel bad for the blonde, but he did. The man had the same soft spot to kids like Eraserhead. But, how do you know all this? He never made things like this public? Knuckleduster asked calmly. Katsuki Bakugo? Nedza replied. The winner of the festival? Ryukyu asked surprised. Nedza nodded. The 1A student in the flesh. He and Midoriya-kun were childhood friends. Before he started to bully him for quirklessness. We already had a talk about that. Nedzu added as everyone gave a glare. The rat sighed in exasperation. That confused them. I do not blame him honestly. That surprised them. His peers did the same and his teachers openly encouraged such behavior. Nobody has ever considered telling him that what he was doing was wrong. I've corrected that mistake, I assure you. The principal sighed in annoyance. If I saw genuine malice in Bakugo-kun, I'd have expelled him immediately. Instead I saw a confused young man who has genuine heroic aspirations but required some corrections in the morals department, which he seems to be doing said corrections himself. Besides, the last thing we want right now is a vigilante or even a villain who can secrete nitroglycerin at will. Everyone winced at that. They remember the sports festival. They could question his past behavior, not his power. The kid had genuine skill and talent with a very strong and destructive quirk. Better keep him and have on their side than be petty and deal with kid that can kill hundreds in a day before being arrested. I understand. Knight, I agreed. Eraserhead did top. He knows that many of the prospective heroes are a rowdy bunch. Bakugo has the drive, powerful quirk and genuine combat instinct. He needs guidance and that's what the school is for. He only wishes another school lived up to its duty. The talk went back to the MLA. They didn't like it. The forces of Redestro caused even Hawks to lose any positivity. Ms. Joke was far behind as her face was blank. They decided to increase the security on the front in the Northern Battle Group. They sent a notice to the HPSC and LED and will start very tight investigation to put down all of the MLA supporters in the hero system. They had a lot of work. Izuku stepped out of the portal with his brother and remaining daughter into the entrance of the Shigaraki Manor, as in Wayne Manor, sue him and his dad. They can handle it, and walked to the door. Eri, the enthusiastic angel, decided to knock on the door. The father and uncle couldn't protest even if they wanted. Spoilers, they didn't. The door swung open just for something to slam into Izuku's chest. His daughter, the other one, jumped into his embrace. He happily hugged her back. His two sons decided to not overwhelm him and just stuck to distant greetings. He entered just to find his dad in the living room reading a book while his mom and aunt were on the couch knitting something. His mom gave him a death hug, and he didn't have any quirks to call upon yet to save him from the strength of a mother. They didn't see her son in a while. It's an unbelievable power, especially for such a thin woman. Tamura got a hug too. He almost suffocated, but the gamer enjoyed the warmth. He would never admit it out loud, but he loved the feeling. The two boys got a hug from their adoptive father each. And honestly, he had to be careful because the oldest Shigaraki was enormous in size. Big enough to stand with All Might, so he was no joke even without strength quirks. There was a bit of chatting and jokes after the greetings. Then the women noticed the clues of villain talk and decided to go with the kids to the beach. Makio was more than happy to be their ride to the other side of E Island. Sons? Raijin says officially once Inko, Ray and the kids are out of an earshot. I wish to tell you both that I'm extremely proud of what you have achieved so far. You've humiliated the U.A and dealt more damage to the Hero Commission's public image and possessions than I ever did. He smiles at both of them before looking at Izuku. You destroyed their headquarters in front of the whole world and nothing could stop you. And even when cornered you fought your way out. ABD the sake thing against Maria, good job truly. All for one laughs in amusement. The cheerfulness manages to reach his eyes too. He is obviously overjoyed by the things that happened in the past month and a half. He stopped for a second to rub his head, which was strange. Then looked at Izuku like he remembered something. But it was still extremely reckless, and you should take better care of yourself. The villain knew when to fold. He won't tell the boys, but if he forgot to add that part, he sure as hell will get smacked with a pair of frying pans by a pair of women that were both beautiful and intimidating. How Endeavor and Hisashi Midoriya survived was a mystery to him honestly. Yes, speaking of reckless. Tamura looked at Izuku like a disappointed older brother. Well, I was shot with another QSB by a sniper rifle yesterday. Still killed 31 ISP members with the help of a friend. I have a lot of loyal friends in the league. Izuku shrugged with a smile. Danger wasn't something to be avoided. It was a lifestyle he embraced. You were? Those damn bullets are really a game changer. You must be careful with those, especially if the other parties got the permanent ones. All for one said carefully. Izuku just smiled. Don't worry, I made a Nomu with a copy of my quirk, all the quirks within and even the power stockpiled. If I get shot I just need to pull through and get to the doctor. I also keep adding all the quirks I get to said Nomu. So no worries? Izuku said with a smirk. That surprised both Raijin and Tamura before they laughed in amusement. Oh, this sneaky little? So you got some saved data? In case you lost the main one? Good job, boss. Tamura in amusement. His little brother was always thorough. Good job, truly good job. And I wish to tell you that I laughed so hard when Shield Maiden smashed All Might into that rock in the USJ, if you remember. One of the most satisfying sights I experienced in my life. You have an eye for talented people, my boy. Raijin chuckled in amusement. That was the quality they both shared. What made Raijin continuously surprised was that Izuku was almost as good as him on that field despite having 2 centuries less of experience. Did the longevity quirk made Raijin stop accumulating certain skills? Or perhaps All for One was being the platform for other things to latch to, could also carry on skills or character traits, making Izuku inherit them too after getting the quirk? So many fascinating questions. He probably won't find out until Izuku has his own children and one of them inherits All for One. Raijin doesn't mention it, but part of him looks forward to having biologically adopted grandchildren. And for more reasons than just quirk-related curiosity. Only Izuku can reasonably provide them. His charisma looks, without mentioning just the nature, is that of a family man. Plus, if Raijin's plans were coming to fruition, he must at least have 3 girlfriends soon. So 3 times more grandkids. Inko seems satisfied with the plans herself, and very supportive. Tamura, in the meantime, is too uninterested and irresponsible, without mentioning battle-hungry and impulsive. Raijin doesn't think there is anyone in Japan who could reasonably measure up to him and get along with him. But he will still wish for it. I learned from the best. Izuku replies sheepishly. 2 and almost a half-century-old heart warms up a bit. We learned from the best. Tamura said proudly. The 2.5-century-old heart warm up a bit more. So, Eri started working in U.A under Recovery Girl. Expect her to land in your lap and give you an hour-long rant about how much she enjoyed it? Izuku warned with amusement. Tamura chuckled at that. Raijin was looking forward to that. He loved his grandkids, they had their charm. Each of them was amazing and adorable. Especially Eri. Raijin never knew what he was missing on. He should have had a family far before now. But he was happy with what he had. He only wished his brother could see him. He would cry from happiness. And by the way, Dad, All Might being within 10 square miles of her position is not a sign that you can murder him in front of cameras or something. They are in the same school. Izuku deadpanned. Tamura burst into laughter at that. Can imagine you doing that? The gamer cackled. The traitor. Raijin is slightly insulted by that sentence. He isn't planning to fight All Might anymore. He actually enjoys seeing his nemesis beat up villains on the TV. Because he knows that each fight gets him closer and closer to turning back into quirklessness. He might pop up in the hospital right before All Might dies of old age. He can see that scene in his mind. Yagi Tashinori thinking he can now pass away contently, having avenged his mentor and saved Japan, only to see All for One back to full strength and with his face intact through a window or even in his room. Too late to change anything, but just in time to die in mental and emotional anguish. Seeing the president broken and humiliated under his son's words gave Raijin some fresh outlook on the concept of revenge. And he has time. All the time in the world, honestly. And he will invest it well. To hell with ruling Japan. He has 2 beautiful, if slightly intimidating, girlfriends. 4 amazing grandchildren and more to come. 2 dons and many soon-to-be daughters. He was content. I see no problem with that. All for one replies. I have way too much fun seeing him squirm under you to fight him. First you bring him to his knees in the USJ, then in that Coliseum. But the way amazing job with making your perfect battleground. Truly a place worthy of a king to be. Raijin is earnest in that. He wishes he did with all might. He really does. Raijin isn't sure he heard correct. Even Tamura is baffled as he gaped dumbfounded. They both were. When the hell did he learn to say this stuff? He would have never thought he could say things like that. You could never imagine how PLA they were. Nedzu and Eraserhead were on the verge of a panic attack. Night Eye seemed ready to faint and All Might was having PTSD flashbacks. Oh my god, it was amazing. Izuku laughed. Soon Tamura joined. All for one can imagine the scene. Against himself he laughs. When he started teaching Izuku to be his successor, he sincerely hoped that he would the same like him. Izuku quickly proved him wrong somehow, but if Raijin was to be honest with himself, there was something wildly entertaining in watching Karma and Reaper play All Might and his infuriating extras like that. He is also proud. Izuku is 15, well close to 16 years old. Despite that, his son was the #1 in the villain ranks. Single-handedly destroyed the HPSC HQ and humiliated the president. Made the Prime Minister peace himself and put the I.A under his mercy. Then he notices something. Wait, how do you know what happened in Nedzu's office? Raijin asked confused. The boys' faces are so perfectly innocent that it screams the word guilty. You didn't? Did you know that when Nedzu is particularly happy, he hides in his offices and sings? Izuku asked with the face of an angel. Russian shanties, oddly enough. We have a recording of him doing that after the Hero Commission was destroyed. Really painful to listen to, Tamura said looking as innocent. Raijin Shigaraki stared at his sons for a bit, and for the first time in a while he doesn't know what to say. His sons infiltrated the UA? Deeply enough to wiretap the rat's office. If Raijin managed to do it, All Might would have never managed to corner him. How? Raijin asked in shock. He wants to know. He needs to know. Izuku gathers his thoughts for an answer. One of the league members with an appropriate quirk just, joined the UA as a student? All I did was to help her train said quirk and then she recruited 2 people that joined wholeheartedly and did the wire trapping. Izuku smiled. Very good spying characters. Has lots of EXP from all the recordings. Good at their job honestly. Tamura smirked. It was beautifully simple, if slightly time-consuming and reliant on having someone with appropriate quirk while being of an appropriate age. And necessary acting skills. But he was the man who could just give someone the right quirk. Why didn't he even think about doing it like that for years? He tried planting bot heroes as teachers, he tried to make villains infiltrated and plant surveillance items, but he won't admit it. But when he originally told Izuku that he wanted to retire because the new times require a new perspective, he lied. He expected his successor and other son to start him a new empire, and then they could rule it together. That they could kill All Might together and then plot more villainous things to do as a family. But instead Izuku has begun to achieve things that he dreamt of, in ways that just never occurred to him as possible. Now he realized that he actually was too old for the job. And that he was right when he said that it was time for a new generation with a different outlook on things to take over things and start a new era. His youngest son not only the emperor of the underworld and king of all villains, but he also seems to be thriving on chaos, mischief and public stunts and ones that have heroes dying. Now I need your experience to help me dismantle what seems to be a HAREM being built for me? I am very confused right now with that in particular, Izuku said unsure. Raijin hit the brakes and stopped his internal revolution just to look at Izuku surprised. Did you say AHAREM? Now this was something he was waiting for. Details now. Yes? Not sure how that happened but I noticed the girl's plotting something behind my back and even has a whole private chat for it. Izuku scratched his chin while looking unsure. How many? Raijin asks. He wants to know. He needs to know. 7. Tamura is grinning his head off while Izuku groaned miserably. Raijin blinked before he started laughing. Oh, this more than twice of what he hoped. More grandkids, here he comes. After Izuku was just green-lighted. His was no help either. In fact she seemed to side with the girl so he was on his own. Shit. The boss? Alright, so I'd like to announce that I've finished up with my, temporary, holidays? The boss? I spent one day with my family and just played chess with my dad while Tamura just watched. The 3 of us exchanged stories and threw in jokes. We watched a movie about cold-blood murder while my kids went with my mom and aunt to the beach, so it fits the bill, right? The boss. Then while they were still in the beach, the three of us tortured a corrupt pro-hero to death together. Dad looked nostalgic at that. Game Master. Yes, Sensei seemed happy he could have some fun with us. The boss at Game Master, would you please start using the word dad like I do? He would never admit it out loud, but he wishes you would start saying it too. The boss. Especially that you were adopted for far longer than me. Game Master. Just very used to it. I mean, I used to call him Sensei since forever. Game Master. Dad would sound weird, but the good type weird. It feels nice, so yeah, we'll use it. The boss. Anyways, back on track. A very good day. Insomniac. My hatred towards you is too powerful to be contained in my human form and now stalks the base like a small Hatagiri. The boss. I'm confused? Insomniac. Good. Confusion makes you suffer. Vampire Queen. Stop it at Insomniac. The boss. Explanation? Gentle hacker. He is salty that you didn't give him the I don't need sleep quirk. Gentle criminal, and he thinks that being mean will change your mind. The boss. I will give it you when I get back. You never technically asked, so not my fault. Game Master, stop being a jerk. Insomniac. Says the one who would turn someone to dust for something dumb like bad internet connection. Game Master. F you, at least I'm a leader for a team. Purge the fakes. Which reminds me, who the hell is the leader for Team Terror? Live Riffle. Yeah, we're kind of fighting over it because you always took the lead so far. Insomniac. And honestly, you take the lead on all teams, Sue. The boss. It's Shield Maiden. Mad Scientist. HOORAY. Purge the fakes. Favoritism. The boss. For being former quirkless like me? Purge the fakes. Forget it. A school. Gecko Man. LMAO. Gentle criminal. Well, at least our leader isn't bloodthirsty, so that's nice. Gentle hacker. You're right, Gentle. Vampire Queen. When are you coming back? I need my sweet and exclusive blood bag. Insomniac. You just want to rope him and drag him to your bedroom to become your body-sized pillow. Deadpool. This is at the boss we are talking about, remember? F school. You need chains, not a rope. World's A stage, preferably with a quirk suppressing cuffs. Vampire Queen. I'm going to cut your vocal cords for that. Vampire Queen. ALLOFYOU. Insomniac. You can silence me but not the truth. F school. Yeah, and cutting my vocal cords won't stop me from typing. Vampire Queen. I will chop off your fingers then. I have just the right knife for that. F school. Deadpool. You screwed us over, man. World's A stage. Insomniac. The boss at Vampire Queen? Are you having nightmares? Because if so, I don't mind sleeping with you. The boss. Uraraka-san asked me to do that few times, Jiru-san and Hagakure-san too. Everyone loves the bartender. Game Master. Vampire Queen. Mad Scientist. Insomniac. Deadpool. World's A stage. F school. Gecko Man. Burn Beach. Purge the fakes. Gentle criminal. Gentle hacker. Live Riffle. Holy shit. F school. You cuddled with a girl? The boss. More like Uraraka-san and Jiru-san had me on death grip while mumbling curses at Endeavor and Thunderbolt respectively in their sleep. Hagakure-san just feels lonely. World's A stage. Burn Beach. Who else did you cuddle? The boss. Last night I visited at Goddess because she seemed down after the festival. The boss. She pretty much puppy-eyed me into sleeping with her since her parents left the manor empty and she's a heavy sleeper. The boss. She kissed me on the cheek as a thank you. Was embarrassing. Game Master. F school. Gecko Man. Burn Beach. Purge the fakes. World's A stage. Deadpool. The boss. Papagiri, will you help me if I felt like being suffocating? Toga-san has a tendency for violence. Vampire Queen. Hey. Everyone loves the bartender. I will not. Everyone loves the bartender. Also, I'm Kurogiri, not Papagiri. The boss changed everyone loves the bartender to Uncligiri. The boss. Okay, Uncligiri. Uncligiri. Ugh. Purge the fakes. A question. Purge the fakes. Can you, esteemed leader, tell me when can I be back to my job? Purge the fakes. Fakes are out there and I'm here wasting time. The boss. Well, considering I almost made Knuckle Duster peace himself with threats, I would say sure, but I am paranoid and care for everyone in the league. Vampire Queen. Mad Scientist. Gentle hacker. The boss. So, until our next big operation, I'm afraid. Purge the fakes. Fine, you are the boss here. Game Master, you can say that again. Burn Beach, you are the boss boss. The boss? Laughing face. The boss. Anyways, I am in a very bad mood these days and I need to blow off some steam, and also make the world understand a bit more that we're dangerous properly. The boss, so let's hit two birds with one stone. The boss. Maria ruining our perfect show and letting Redestro get away. Game Master. Maria is a party pooper and we should destroy her for it. The boss working on it. The boss. But for now I need ideas on a big operation before the girls are back to school, so today or tomorrow, preferably today. The boss, get creative. Surprise me. World's a stage, let's rob Endeavor's house. It would be both hilarious and glorious. Burn Beach, I'm in. The boss. Well, we are going to screw him over this week, so sorry, would seem like stalking, nice idea though. World's a stage, ah. Burn Beach, ah. Mad scientist, let's blow up a Detronat factory. I have just the right invention for that. Uncligiri, you are storing high-yield explosives next to my bar. Mad scientist. No. Uncligiri, you are not allowed desserts for a week, Miss Shield. Mad scientist, and no. A school ouch. Insomniac, ouch. Gecko man ouch. Burn Beach ouch. Uncligiri, also I am confiscating the explosives. Mad scientist, you won't take my child from me. Mad scientist, I worked hard to create it. Gentle hacker, do it do it do it. World's a stage, Pmiezi. Deadpool, yes please. The boss at Insomniac, go to her workshop and brainwash her before she does something crazy. The boss, like punching Papagiri's lights out, don't want to die from starvation and Magna is in a mission. Insomniac, BRB. Vampire Queen, now that this is sorted out, at the boss talk with us about the plants. Vampire Queen, wait, what was that explosion? The boss, what explosion? A school, she is screwing with you. Gecko man, oh. Insomniac, hey, that's my job. Insomniac, also at Mad Scientist has been detained. Insomniac, she said where the bomb is. Insomniac, everything will be alright. The boss, I hope you aren't screwing with me while saying that because I know you well enough. The boss, dying in flames is a small price to pay for a good joke in your twisted mind. Insomniac, on an unrelated note, does someone know a good expert at disarming bombs who can reach our headquarters within 20 minutes? The boss, god damn it, god damn it. The boss, Papagiri, I am asking you. The boss, status report. Uncligiri, situation has been dealt with. Uncligiri, Insomniac is making fun of you. Insomniac, Traitor Giri. The boss, okay, now back to business please. F school, let's destroy a local elite school. Some private academy. Game Master, why am I not surprised? The boss, no musty no. F school, ah. Purge the fakes, can we burn down Yoroi Mush's hero agency? The boss. The boss, you almost got me, but I know you will just set me up to attack Endeavor. Purge the fakes, damn it. Live Riffle, it's okay Chi, you tried your best. Live Riffle, can we storm the Prime Minister's main building? The LED is a pain in the ass. The boss, unfortunately Mizuki is a final goal if I kill him. Now I will feel empty, and it would put the country in even more chaos than what there is now, so sorry. Live Riffle, this country is such a shitty place to live in. Insomniac, mood. School, mood. Vampire Queen, mood. Mad Scientist, mood. Gecko Man, can we please attack the CRC? Please? The boss, well, I might know about a creature rejection clan hideout in Kyoto, which might or might not be sometimes visited by local heroes. The boss, 2 of them in fact. It doesn't feel like they are undercover or anything of the sorts. The boss, what's your opinion on quirkist heroes secretly joining villainous hate groups and committing hate crimes? Uncle Stain. Purge the fakes, sentence is death. No mercy for such scum. Live Riffle, I'm joining in. Gecko Man, yeah. The boss, well, that will be it for the Team Terror then, Spinner will go since it's personal. The boss, now let's see what the Vanguard Action Squad can do, suggestions. Mad Scientist, well, I kinda know a place where some ISP jackasses use as a base, an old plantation with a large warehouse that's been abandoned. Mad Scientist, around 70 of them, and there has been few murders on intruders in the past months. Game Master, sounds like lots of EXP and rewards along with reputation for this quest. Game Master, Vanguards, let's show these a-holes who's boss. Musty will be MVP in the open forest, it's time to shine, gas boy. F school, YEAH. The boss. Yeah, so once my parents stop plotting my downfall with my daughters, I'm like 90% sure that their grandparents' grandchildren bonding time is including embarrassing photos of me, And if so, my life is ruined. We're warping back to the base and quickly planning the attack on the hideout of these a-holes. The boss, so are you satisfied, my fourth uncle? Purge the fakes, yes. Purge the fakes. Who are the previous ones? The boss, Kurogiri, compress and twice. Uncligiri, World's A stage, Deadpool, chief. You are so sweet. The boss, honestly you are all my extended adopted family. Insomniac, The boss, save for you. Insomniac. Squash. The boss, oh wait, you're kinda my brother-in-law. Insomniac. For the 100th time, stop trying to set me up with Tenko, I don't swing that way. Insomniac. Also I have human ears. Vampire Queen. What? Game Master. Don't. Game Master. Insomniac. When he plays single-player RPGs with an option for romances, he always picks cat or wolf or fox girls like 40% of time. Game Master. Dare. Game Master. You are dead. World's A stage. What about the other 60%? F School. BUNNYGIRLS. The boss? Oh, that's a new one. Deadpool. OAREMO. Uncligiri. Are you going to settle down and be a responsible adult human being when I find you a girl like that? The boss, I mean there have to be someone like that among the villains in Japan. I don't know about bunnies, but I could find you a wolf or fox girl. Dad will be so happy. Game Master, I hate you all. Game Master left the group chat. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through What If Deku Became the Villain Emperor. I hope you found it as intriguing and thought-provoking as we did. A big shout out to DekuVerse for crafting such a compelling story. Don't forget to check out their profile on Archive of Our Own for more amazing works. The link is in the description below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to What If Deku 2.0 for more fascinating explorations into the world of fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we're always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you guys in the next video.